Welcome high atop the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Qualifications, Warriors for Peace Indy 500, qualifying a 50% chance of rain. But other than that, ideal conditions for qualifying for next Friday's running of the Indy 500 here on the Elite Racing League. I'm Tony Donahue. Rish is with me. Man, Rish, we've already got a lot of drivers putting down some good laps, but we're looking at 54 cars on this entry list battling to get in to that top 33. We're going to see some exciting numbers here put up over the next couple of hours.
Yeah, we absolutely are, and we're catching qualifying a little bit late in the proceedings here as Eric Macedo runs up here, completes his lap time. Going to see what that updates to, so timing and scoring going to work all that magic for us as we move on to the next car on the racetrack. That's going to be Nate Sefker. Yeah, things are going to be a little bit crazy now as we get into the final hour of open qualifying, and I'll walk you guys through what the format is going to look like for this. So this is round one right now. It's set by IndyCar Series points, and it will be random draw order for all the drivers who haven't scored any points, so one-off drivers that we have throughout the field. Then right after this at 9 p.m. we'll have the bumping round. The order will be based off of round one times inverted. So for example, the slowest qualifier in round one will go first, and the last qualifier will be the driver with the 33rd fastest time in round number one. So out of all of those drivers in the bumping round, just one advances into the field. And then finally, we'll have the Elite Fast 9. The order will be based off the round one times, once again inverted. So again, the ninth fastest driver in this first round here will then qualify first, and the last qualifier at the end of the day, the very last car to qualify will be the top finisher here tonight in round one qualifying. So right now, most of the field is set, but you're seeing here down 30th on backwards, drivers have removed their lap time. So right now, only 29 drivers with official lap times on the board. So we're already at that point in the night where drivers are pulling their 4-lap averages and saying, hey, I'm ready to go make another run.
Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of that tonight as far as, making sure that you're not on that back row or you're not sitting 33rd, because as we talked about, 21 drivers are going to be going home after qualifying coming up tonight. Again, next Friday is the Indy 500, so be too sure to tune in here on YouTube and find us on Twitter as well. All right, Rish, top 5 right now. Adriano Pinero at 39.471. Really no surprise there. And honestly, what we've seen all season, the cream of the crop has risen to qualifying here with Jared Rexing currently second. Alexander Van de Sant is third. Chad Frankenfield fourth. Nick DeGroot is fifth. These are 5 names that on a weekly basis we're talking about.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, you're going to always see that. And, of course, what benefits these guys is that we're going in points order. So those guys who have done well so far in the season, they're going to have those kind of ideal track that ideal track conditions where it's a little bit cooler there's just not as much heat. It's a little bit earlier in the day. Now as we get all the way towards the end, we expect the track to start cooling down once again. So you kind of have that morning session or that morning period where you have drivers very much, again, putting in fast laps. Then you kind of have that middle area where it's very hot, very slick on the racetrack, and now we're back into a cooler section of the time where, again, we're expecting drivers to now start putting in fast laps. So Nate Sefker finishes his run. He's going to run up to, let's see if we can spot where Sefker ended up, 20th in the running order, and now Alexander Regon is going to head out onto the racetrack to go for another run. Right now, of course, showing his P30. Now that he's taken to the racetrack, his last lap time has officially been deleted. So whatever happens on this run, this is what we'll officially be counting. So a lot of extra pressure on these drivers for sure, just purely because if you decide to delete that last 4-lap average, if you go out and you bin it on that first lap, that's it. That's your run.
Again, next week, the Rich Marflores Indy 500 comes up here. Don't forget to follow @EliteRacing_ on Twitter, the Mega Driver 86 series. We've got a lot of fun to be had tonight. It really makes you itch for the month of May and hoping that there would be more bumping, but we will see. It looks like 33 inches. We'll get to some of the IndyCar drivers that are in tonight's lineup coming up as well. But again, we want to thank Warriors for Peace, their qualifying day sponsor here. Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check them out, warriorsforpeace.org for more information. Rish, tonight, $50 is on the line to qualify on the pole, so we may see some guys really go for it here coming up this evening.
Yeah, especially those guys who maybe want to go for it and are just outside of that top 9 group. You're going to kind of have to see and just figure out how confident you are. But Alexander Rigon, great first lap there, 39.5. This could be a sign of things to come in terms of track conditions in this final hour here. Let's see if he can maintain that pace, though. That's the best lap he's put in all day long. You can see there on the bottom of your screens. And we'll see if we can watch, just get some live information in terms of times and speed he's able to carry here. So Rigon there in that number 32 car, hitting 228 down the front straightaway. So big speeds in these Indy cars as he starts lap number 2. Or excuse me, lap number 3.
A little bit of a high line entering turn number 1. Very Elio Castro Neves-like as we saw last year. But so far, a good smooth run here. Laid down his best lap so far at 39.506. Last lap down just a little bit, 39.572. But so far, Rish, a very smooth and consistent run here for Alexander.
Absolutely. His average, incredibly, just how close this field is. That average, that second lap that went down a little bit in pace, dropped him down to 13th in terms of pace. This next lap, 39.644. That's going to hurt him again. So big first lap from Alexander Rigon, but really quickly slowing down and losing some lap time here. We'll see again if he's able to pull out something on lap number 4 for this car. But already, where is he? He's now 19th on his 3-lap average.
Currently on the bubble in 33rd is a very familiar name in the IndyCar circles is Anders Krohn. Some other names that you might know throughout the field, Tony Kanaan, obviously the 2013 Indianapolis 500 champion is joining us here this evening. Santino Ferrucci looking to get in, Stefan Wilson as well. So some drivers that have very well-known names here. Last lap there, 39.659 for Rigon. So again, Rish, it looks like a lot of these times will start to drop off after that first lap. So very important to get those tires warmed early and make sure that you are up to speed when it comes to qualifying here for this huge event coming up back on the track now. Toledo in the very nice looking throwback, almost a sign to the Marlboro Team Penske days. We'll see what he can do here on his qualifications run.
Yeah, Toledo, an old full-time driver here in the IndyCar Series. It's been a hot second, I think, though, since we've seen this driver back running here. He might have been an Indy 500 only entry last season as well, but let's see what he can pull off here. So again, he is currently sitting 31st, so we don't know what his best average lap time was last time around, but his best single lap was a 39.537, and even that, even if he averaged that, a bunch of times, that's still only going to put him 12th. The assumption, though, is that probably was not enough to bring him in the field. So here we go. First lap from Toledo, 5.65. That's not going to be enough. He's going to need to find some pace here in the 2, 3, and 4.
The last 2 attempts by Sepker and Rigon ended in the exact same time. The average, 39.595. And that puts you right in the middle of the field right now, 20th to 21st. Rish, where is somewhere you're looking to be to know that you're safely inside of this field? Are we talking 25th on up?
Man, it's tough. I'm kind of looking at it as a lap time situation almost, and I'd say maybe Robert Hill in the 19th position is where I start to see a little bit of a gap forming. Maybe even Marshall Stanley, that 19th, 20th, and then that big jump in lap time back to where, well, there you see now Tail Toledo jumps into 20th there. But that 5.83 versus the 5.90s, 5.95, 5.95, 5.99, that's maybe a little bit of a jump there that I see. As maybe that's the safe spot, but yeah, I mean it's hard to say right now. Again, especially because we have 3 drivers inside the top 33 technically who haven't submitted a lap time. Of course, they have one, but right now, according to timing and scoring, they've chosen to delete those.
Yeah, and it looks like Toledo flirting with about an average of around 39.6, which would put him somewhere 26th or 27th. I believe he is on lap number 4 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, using all the track up there as he heads down the back straightaway for the final time. Look at his trap speed here down the back straightaway, Rish, up to 230. A lot of guys going about 231, 232 down the back straightaway, so he's certainly going to have to find speed if he wants to find himself comfortably in his field for next Friday.
Yeah, so he might immediately pull his name out of or completely pull his name back in for another run here after this one, because I'm not sure this is going to be quite enough. We'll see. Crosses the line there. Where does Toledo end up once timing and scoring updates? He drops down to 28th right now, so just 3 cars officially with lap times behind him. Not sure that's going to be enough. We'll move on now to the next car on the racetrack. That's going to be Dustin Dewar. So he was just in, I think, before we went live, then pulled his lap time and is back out on the racetrack. But yeah, he was right there on that bump spot. You want to be avoiding that 33rd position as much as possible. Put yourself in the show. Qualifying 32nd, that should be totally fine in terms of just being there in this event.
Ooh, a little low there on the entrance of turn number 3 for your warm-up lane, trying to get up to speed fully here, because we talked about Rish. It seems like the first lap for these, hugs the wall there, but the first lap for these drivers is the fastest, and it kind of trickles down from there. So we'll see what Dewar can do here in the 44.
Yeah, don't love that first lap there from Dustin Dewar, 39.607. That's not the first lap average that you want to see. We saw Toledo started with a 5.65, I think was his very first lap, and he ended up 28th. So Dewar, again, is going to have to find some pace here in this order. So, yeah, a lot to play for, but Dustin Dewar, not a great start to his 4-lap average, going to have to find some pace.
The Dark Horse Pole Award is about creating a fun and competitive iRacing league environment. The experience drivers come from all walks of life and are from all around the world. Dark Horse strives to respect all fellow racers and have a blast doing it. See how you can join and be a part of the fun and a part of the family at darkhorseracingseries.com or at DH Racing Series as well. Down the back straightaway, 39.649 on that last lap. You got to think here, if you're Dustin Dewar, you're right on that cuffs of being on that last row.
Yeah, it's getting very close here. Again, he's got 2 more laps to complete now as he just comes off turn 4, very close to the outside wall, but saves it, keeps it rolling in the right direction. We'll see what this lap time is for Dewar. 39.687, again, going to drop a little bit of lap time there. He should just, in theory, come in ahead of Jordan Owens, but I'm pretty sure Owens might be going for another lap here as well. Actually, I don't see Jordan Owens in the run order yet, so I think he's going to wait until he's officially bumped before sticking his name back out in the ring. So Dustin Dewar, let's see what he can do. One more lap, but it hasn't been that promising of a run here. If he can stay ahead of someone like Cody Harrington, Jordan Owens, and not be the slowest guy with an official time on, that would be big for the 32, but I think he's going to have to pull his name out and go for another run here relatively soon.
Not as close to that outside wall coming off of 4. The run is complete for Dewar. We will see as we update timing and scoring here where that puts him 29th at 39.648 as your average time. So, again, you're in the show right now if you're Dustin Dewar, but you're not sitting awful comfortably in that 29th position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're waiting to see a car run out onto the racetrack. I think we just saw someone rolling there. We will see exactly who that should be. Should be Anders Krohn, who we mentioned earlier, and I believe he is just going to be pulling out right now and onto the racetrack in a very unique-looking race car there.
I like it. I actually saw Anders walking down the street on Sunday as I was driving up, and I put him on the spot, and I said, who's going to win the Indy 500 next month? And he said, hey, man, and I was pulling away, and he yelled, Elio. So you heard it here first, Andrews Krohn picking Elio Castroneves to win his 5th Indy 500. But this is a very nice-looking race car. The number 40 machine, Anders Krohn, you've heard him on IndyCar Radio Network. Former Lights driver, knows all about the NTT IndyCar Series and how to get it done here in iRacing as he starts his attempt nice and smooth as he heads down into turn 2 and down the back straightaway.
Yeah, looking good right there, at least for the first bit of the lap. 230, 231. So just what you were talking about there earlier, Tony. 231, 232 is what you kind of want to see heading into turns 3 and 4. Looks like maybe a little bit of a tailwind down the back straightaway is giving them a bit more pace there versus turn 1. Right up against the wall there on the first lap, so you can tell Krohn is going aggressive here early on, trying to get that lap time in before the tire wear starts to kick in.
And he is right on the edge as we see there, 39.557, his first lap, just a tick under his fastest lap, which was 39.546. So So 39.557 would have him decently into the field if he can keep that up inside of the top 20. But we're looking at about a 20th to 22nd run here based on what we've seen some of these drivers dropping off on laps 2, 3, and 4. We will see what lap number 2 is here as he brings it off corner 4, gets all of it again down the front straightaway to complete lap number 2.
Yeah, seriously, it's aggressive approach here, and let's see, 5.96, so consistent between those first 2 laps here, and where's he going to sit there on timing and scoring? That's going to be P19 for Anders Krohn. So yeah, could be promising here in terms of whether or not he's able to to stay in there.
It's about 0.6 of a second back to the 20th spot. He will be comfortably in, but again, with 54 drivers attempt, off corner 4 again, almost brushes the wall. Anders Krohn getting the most of his race car as he takes the white flag to head down the front straightaway into turn 1 for the final time. Currently, after lap number 3, still finds himself 19th, 39.557.
Yeah, just actually got that updated now down to 39.605, down to 24th. So again, continuing to slip. So maybe track conditions, maybe we add a little bit of a cloud there where we got a couple of quick lap times in, but still very slick and hot on the racetrack. Nowhere near the lap times that we were seeing up top. But of course, you kind of start to think maybe the guys who are running more are the guys who are struggling a little bit with pace as well. So just trying anything, weight jacker, whatever adjustments they can make to the car, trying whatever they can here. We're just trying to get that perfect run together. So final lap there for Anders Krohn, 39.688, and he completes his 4-lap average there and will end in 28th position. You can't quite feel safe when you're running there, can you?
And a massive drop-off there as the run's complete. He was flirting with a top 20 position, 18th, 19th, but the drop-off, as you mentioned, is massive. I think we'll see Anders Krohn go back out there knowing that it seemed like he may have lost a little bit of time, 2 of those laps coming off of corner number 4. Again, he finds himself in the 28th position with a 39.626. So the margin of error from about 17th to 30th is as little as a wiggle coming off of corner number 4. Alec Balvez is on the course in the number 50. 39.6 has been his fastest time. He's going to have to find some speed here if he wants to find himself comfortably inside of the field.
Yeah, he's going to need to find something that those other guys haven't quite been able to find. So Balvan's right now outside, of course, in 34th position without a lap time. So 33 drivers now with an official, lap time counted. So let's see what Balvans can do with this one. So down this back straightaway, 230, 230, not quite 231, and that's concerning because if you saw Krohn with that top speed of 231, you've got to be thinking that just pulling 230 down that back straightaway isn't going to be enough. These cars are trimmed out to the same level, so it's not like Balvans is going to find significantly more lap time in the corners. So yeah, not a great start there for Balvans.
39.581 is his best. Again, 39.617 currently after lap number 1. Not really hugging those walls like we saw on Anders Krohn's attempt in the past here. We will see what he can do on lap number 2. He is going to have to pick it up just a little bit as he is currently trending towards the bottom of that top 33. Currently 23rd, but we did see the drop-off from Krohn from about 18th to 30th. So if he can keep it consistent here, Rish, he'll find himself in the field as he completes lap number 2 at 39.702. So a massive drop-off there, and he will find himself falling down the leaderboards now as he currently finds himself 30th with an average so far of 39.6. So he's flirting with not being in the field.
Yeah, this is not going well for him. It's it's not quite the run Balvans was hoping to put together. And again, track conditions, it could be a combination of a number of things, but I think not getting that left side tire underneath that white line, it's so dangerous to do that, but that is how you generate lap time here in Indy 500 qualifying. You kind of have to be a little bit aggressive with that, and don't quite know if we were seeing that same level of aggression there from Balvan. So 39.769 there on that next lap. again, falls back another position now to 31st before bailing on that. So I think that was actually his 4th lap. We missed the first lap on that run, but still not great for Alec Valvance. He's probably going to want to maybe pull himself out and take another run. But here comes Santino Ferrucci, a real-life IndyCar driver, or at least former. I know he's currently just part-time, but Ferrucci now out on the racetrack.
Yeah, Santino Ferrucci made that start at Texas. This is very much like his rookie or second-year edition of his Indianapolis 500 car when he ran for Dale Coyne with Jimmy Vasser. That was the Seal Master car. This is a very similar livery for Santino Ferrucci. 1 IndyCar start so far this year, at a top 10 at Texas, filling in for Jack Harvey. And he will race, I believe, for a 3rd different team in 4 starts. I know 1 was with Dale Coyne Racing, 1 was with Dale Coyne with Vassar Sullivan, but he will be in a very exciting team to, very low there. Ooh. But Santino Ferrucci this year will run for Dryon Reinbold, one of only 2 teams, Rish, to come into the next month's Indianapolis 500, with 2 drivers who finished in the top 10 from the year previous race. Meyer Shank Racing, the other team as well. We will see what Santino Ferrucci can do. 39.516. That's a good first lap.
That first lap.
Big first lap, puts him inside of the top 10. We'll see if he can keep it going on this run.
Yeah, he's really going right up to those walls there, but you can see massive drop-off there on lap 2, 39.681. Huge difference there between 1 and 2. So has he burned through those tires on that first lap and he's hanging on now, or was that just a sloppy lap number 2? But you can see here, that drops his average. Let's see, where is he now? Ferrucci, well down the order with a 24th. So he was tracking 5th, down to 24th just after that second lap.
So a tough lap there for Santino Ferrucci, a 39.681. We'll see if it continues to drop off here, as I believe he's taking the white flag to start his final lap here. 39.611 for Ferrucci from the state of Connecticut. Finds himself now 26th with an average so far of 39.603 as he is on his final lap here on his qualification attempt, hugging the wall down the back straightaway, trying to get the most out of that number 30 machine.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Ferrucci was purely that lap number 2, and that's going to haunt him here if he doesn't make the show, or if he makes it and it's tight. But man, oh man, that was a tricky lap too. But you can see there's pace in this car. That went faster on the 3rd lap than the 2nd, and didn't lose too much between 3 and 4 either. So the pace in that car was such that he should have been probably a little bit higher. But that 2nd lap, maybe a little bit of just a wiggle there, and that really hurt him.
Winds up 26, 39.603. I think I can speak for all the fans, not only of this race next week, but the Indianapolis 500 next month. And Santino's not going to want to hear this, but it's always exciting when Santino qualifies towards the back, as he is a hard charger. 3 for 3 top 10s in his Indy 500 career. Now hitting the track with the best lap of 39.547. Bruno DeCarmo. He is, I believe, Rish, a Indy-only entry, and we'll see what he's got here as he comes around and take the green flag.
Yeah, we will for sure. So time to find out here. So a little bit concerning, obviously, is on 1 lap. So that number there, 42nd fastest in just 1 lap speed. But can he put together an average that matters? It doesn't matter if you're quick on 1 lap, because if you can't hold that pace for 10 miles, not 100 miles, for 10 miles, it's no good for you just being quick for 2.5 of those. So let's take a look, though. Bruno DeCarmo, not great in 1 lap pace. Let's see if he can carry, though, and be consistent from 1 lap to the next. So first lap here into turn number 3. Does a good job getting those left side tires right on that white line. Doesn't get too close to the apron, but you can kind of build up a little bit to that if you need to. But again, good line there. Coming off of turn number 4, no major adjustments either in the car, so I think doing a good job there. We'll see if that turns into lap time, though.
Yeah, Rish, talk about some of these drivers and what they are adjusting over the 4 laps as maybe those tires kind of start to die out.
Absolutely. So, I mean, as DeCarmo puts in his best lap time of the day, and that's the 31st best single lap of the day, and we'll see if he can hold that same pace. But, yeah, DeCarmo, what you got to do as a driver really is just you have maybe really one way that you can adjust your car in iRacing. So you do still have the ability to adjust your bar, so anti-roll bar stiffness in the front and rear, but as far as I know, unless there's been an update most recently, it doesn't make a massive difference to lap time, and honestly even comfort and balance of the car. The biggest changer is weight jacker, so changing that cross weight between your front left and rear right wheels, I believe it is. So changing that cross weight is massive in terms of just the balance of the car. So as you kind of continue running, your car is either going to move towards a little bit more of a loose nature, a little bit more of a tight nature. A lot of the times here in qualifying, sometimes you'll see it goes a little bit tighter. So you want to just go a little bit, move a little bit on that weight jacker to make that adjustment, change the handle of your car, so at least it feels a little bit more consistent and balanced over the course of, burning through tires and fuel and all the balanced things on the car change. Making sure that it's still quick at the end of the day. So DeCarmo drop off a little bit there after lap number 1, and then lap number 3 he completes there. Again, a little bit of a drop off, but right now I think still very much in the thick of it. DeCarmo 22nd right now. This should be good enough for him to get inside the show if he puts up another solid lap time here. But again, we're seeing significant drop off here, almost 0.2 of a second between lap number 1 and lap 2.
Yeah, 8th down to 16th, now tracking 22nd after his 3rd lap. We will see if he can keep it up and keep that average right in that 39.59 area, which would land him anywhere from 24th down to 31st. The run is complete. Checkered flag in the air for DeCarmo, and we will see where that lands him after
28th.
his 4-lap qualifying run. And yes, 28th on the grid of the 39.603, so we did get into that 39.6 mile per hour range. Santino Ferrucci currently 32nd. Macedo is 33rd. Krohn on the outside looking in. We've seen him already make an attempt. He is currently in the 34th position. And as Joel Harleman comes out onto the racetrack, we still have about 14 or 15 drivers still left to make attempts here to try to put themselves inside of the field of 33 drivers for next week's Rick Marr Indianapolis 500 here on the Elite Racing Network. Rish, let's see what he can do here. 39.546 is his best. That's going to put you right now at the 13th spot, but he's going to have to improve on that on lap 1 if he wants to find himself inside of the top 15.
Yeah, that's not a great lap 1 here, but again, we've seen some drivers go big on lap 1 and drop off big time. Again, I'm going to keep saying this until I see it, though. Could this be the first driver to really be a little bit more consistent between laps 1 and 4? But I think if you struggle in that first lap, you're going to keep pushing, and that's another big drop-off. That's almost 1/10 of a second between 1 and 2 there for Harleman. So not great lap 1 and a big drop-off between 1 and 2. This might not be the run that Harleman's been looking for to get him into the show. Already tracking 22nd fastest right now and still has 2 laps to go, or 1.5 now as he's halfway down this back straightaway.
And we've really seen about 8 to 10 positions per lap on the drop-off here on these attempts from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. here Eastern time as we continue qualifications. Again, at 9 o'clock, we'll have bumping with the fastest advancing. We'll also have the Fast 9 coming up here as well. Rish, what to expect here over the next 20 to 25 minutes, because we've got a lot of drivers that are right there within 1 to 2/10 of a second of making this field.
Yeah, there's a lot of drivers out there, and the biggest concern now that starts to creep into drivers' heads as we're about half an hour away from this round 1 of qualifying ending is if you have pulled your name out here, are you going to be able to still put in a lap time, right? So, guys need to now start balancing the risk of, is there even enough time for me to go out and make another run with the queue that's starting to form? So that's a little bit trickier to kind of figure out exactly how that's going to play out, with drivers maybe needing to withdraw and everything that goes down. So again, you'd imagine that track position or track temperature is going to start getting better as Harleman finishes his run, though, outside of the top 33. But we have some big hitters who are currently sitting without a lap time. So we have, I mean, the biggest one, Stefan Wilson, Henry Bennett. Bennett, a former 2-time Indy 500 winner. So you want to see him back in here. Stefan Wilson almost won it a couple seasons back as well. So Man, yeah, you got to make sure that those guys are getting in with their runs, and then anybody else who right now is sitting out on the outside looking in. You look at Anders Krohn, Harleman, who just did his run, Chad Thurnquist, who's a protagonist in our Cup Series standings and in the championship battle there. These guys are on the outside looking in, trying to make their way into the Indy 500 and running out of time to make that run.
And a guy who's shown a lot of speed this year and has had some pretty good runs is Victor Del Porto. He's still yet to go out. Looks like he will be the second to last driver that will make an attempt in this session as qualifying rolls on here on the Elite Racing Network. Again, thanks to Dark Horse Indy Series for sponsoring the Pole Award. $50 to the pole sitter. They are all about creating a fun and competitive iRacing league environment. Series experienced drivers come from all walks of life and are from all around the world. Dark Horse strives to respect all fellow racers and have a blast doing it. See how you can join the fun and be a part of the family at darkhorseracingseries.com. And, of course, we want to thank our qualifying day sponsor. They sponsored last week's road course race from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as well, Warriors for Peace. Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check them out today, warriorsforpeace.org for more information. I'm Tony. That's Rish. A lot of drivers still yet to go. And we've got a driver out there right now tracking pretty well here to start his qualification attempt.
Yeah, pretty well. We'll see for Grijalva. So I actually was just updating something, so I'm not too familiar if we're on lap number 2 or 1 for that one, if what he just completed there. Because if that's lap 2, he's doing all right for himself, but that's another bit of a drop-off there in terms of lap time, and there that average goes down. Grijalva already now a little bit in a danger zone. So solid first lap, but I mean, it's such a tight field that first lap needs to be exceptional. You really need to be kind of in that 39.51 range to have even a shot at being inside the field right now. I think Grijalva is going to cut it very close when he completes his 4-lap run.
Yeah, tracking currently in the 29th position with that average or that first lap of 39.6. We'll see what he does here as he will continue the run, and it looks like as he heads into 39.684 his last lap there, and it looks like he will be on the outside looking in by 1/1000th of a second. He is 34th with a 39.624, and right now a 39.623 is what it will take to make it into the show. Next out is Kendall Noah Player, a driver that 39.524. He's got a good-looking race car. Looks very similar to Connor Daly's Bitnile machine. We'll see if he can put this in the show and try to knock off Macedo, who is currently in that 33rd position, which would then put either Ferrucci or Noah Player on the bubble. We still got a lot of attempts left here over the next half hour or so.
So here he goes across the start-finish line for Kendall Noah Player into turn number 1. 39.581 that first lap, and it was a little bit sketchy looking for sure. There was some snap movement from that 94 car for Kendall Noah Player. Not what he wanted for lap number 1. We'll see if lap number 2 he can recover, if he found something with the balance, adjust the weight jacker on these long front and back straightaways, and get yourself ready for these short shoots where you're really having to earn your money right here. And that's where it's done. So good line through 3, solid line through 4 coming off of turn number 4. Looks all right. No major drama on that particular lap. We'll see, though, has he already worn through the tires on that first lap. 39.609, so not as big of a drop-off, but not a great start to his lap for Kendall Noah Player. Right now sits 24th with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, only dropped off 3 spots there between laps, and we've seen anywhere from 8 to 10 be the drop-off here as he heads down the back straightaway. 39.609 as mentioned on his last lap time, currently tracking in the 24th. So, Rish, this is going to be very, very close. He's going to need somewhere around a 39.61 to stay up there. It's going to be super tight.
It really is. Let's see what he does. Lap number 3, 6.42. That's not what he wanted to see. He's now sitting P31 and still has 1 more lap to go. And with that just being I mean, it's a thousandth of a second between him and 33rd Santino Ferrucci, but then a bit of a jump back to Eric Macedo. He might be able to just slot into 33rd there, but it's going to need to be a bit bigger of a lap here. If he drops again, I think he's going to be out.
Trap speed down the back straightaway, 229 miles per hour. Off corner, number 4, checkered flag in the air. We'll see if this is enough for Noah Player to find himself inside of the top 33. And as timing and score updates, it will...
No, he's out. 37th is where that lap time puts him. Major drop-off on that 4th lap.
9.636 miles per hour, and Gil Ribeiro will head out onto the race course with the fastest lap so far, 39.529 miles per hour. A very, very nice livery here, a little yellow, green, and blue, perhaps a nod to Brazil, as we will see. Look at that, a very good-looking race car there, as he will start his attempt in the number 37. Again, 39.529, his best so far as he comes screaming down the front straightaway.
Yeah, so Ribeiro, let's see what he can do. So 39.529, best lap so far tonight. Can he top that here with the current track position, or current track conditions, and how everything's playing out? Has he learned between his first run and this next one? What can he change about this? This is a chance here for Ribeiro. So let's take a look. Looking good so far in the lap. Good line through 3. See how he looks through 4. The big thing you want to make sure is there's not too much drama coming off of turn number 4. Looks nice and straight. Doesn't use all the racetrack, so still has a little bit more to give there. So let's see what that first lap turns into in terms of just straight up speed. 39.486. Huge first lap for Gil Ribeiro. He's now got to maintain that momentum.
Yeah, that's a big lap. That's his best lap so far, as mentioned, 39.486. That is one of the best laps we've seen as of late to open up a run, as he's already halfway down the back straightaway.
Yeah, really, really good. Again, obviously comes down to maintaining pace, but we've seen guys, with in that 5-1, 5-1X position for that first lap, and they're kind of right now teetering at the end of, the high 20s and low 30s. Ribeiro with that, could he be low 20s and be totally safe to go here? I'm not sure he's going to be in a position to maybe go for the fast 9, but 5.73 on that next lap. Where does that put him? It puts him P11, so fast 9 is out, but for Ribeiro, this could still be a lock him into the show type run right here.
Comfortably so far. He was second after that first lap, now back down to 11th, 39.530. We will see how much of a drop-off he has here on lap number 3. Again, currently 11th with a 39.530, as he will bring this thing off of corner number 4. Very smooth, uses all of the racetrack. A smooth line down the front straightaway. We will see where this locks him in after lap number 3. Gil falls down to 19th, 39.567 miles per hour. Looks like he should, as you mentioned, Rich, be comfortable, but again, it continues to drop off here throughout the laps.
That's just crazy. The performance drop-off that we're seeing in terms of lap time is ridiculous. It's crazy just to think, that he put in that exceptional lap. And to be fair, we say it was an exceptional lap. In terms of single lap speed, that was the 25th fastest lap we've seen tonight. So, I mean, realistically, you'd expect maybe if he's 25th fastest over one lap, he'd be around 25th fastest over a 4-lap average. We'll see if that actually ends up translating here as he finishes lap number 4 to 6.55 and 22nd. So there you go. So good 4th lap there for Ribeiro. It kind of recovers a little bit of the run. I believe with the runs that we have left, he should be safe. But I'm not going to say that just yet because there's still 20 minutes left in this session. So Logan Spath now out onto the racetrack, set the 35th fastest single lap speed at 39.524. Now the question is, can he top that? Can he go even faster? Because it looks like you're going to have to dip into, those low 39.5s and maybe even 39.4s if you want a shot at being in this race.
At Mega Driver, IndyCar Series, at Mega Driver 86 on Twitter provides top-notch NASCAR content from past to present. At Mega Driver 86 also provides content from IndyCar to Supercars. Make sure you give him a follow. Again, we want to thank him as our series sponsor. We will thank a few more of our premier partners here throughout the remainder of the evening as we go on board here with Logan, and a very, very smooth line so far. You don't really see much Rish movement when it comes to that steering wheel.
Yeah, you really don't, and you don't want to. Of course, in these cars, you're not wanting to make too many adjustments. You can see him right up on the limiter there. That's good to see. 230 he just touched, but not great top speed down that back straightaway, so not what he wanted to see, but good speed through the short chute. Only drops down to about 225 coming off of turn 4. Again, not using all the racetrack there, but giving yourself the opportunity to do that when the car starts to tighten up later in the run. So lap number 1 complete. It's going to be a 39.538, so not great. But again, it's all going to come to drop off between laps. So Spath right now 13th, and he got a little bit of apron there in turn number 2, but keeps it pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, smooth so far here, but again, we've seen it, the drop-off, I believe, was it a run ago where we saw the driver go from second all the way down to mid to early 20s. So 13th on your first lap sounds good if you're just tuning in, but the drop-off has been significant. So based on what we've seen, I would expect him, Rish, to probably fall to 20th or 22nd here after this second lap. 39.5. Whoa. That's a huge break in my room here, so I apologize for that. My Takuma side frame just fell, so that looked good. But anyway, back to the action. Logan falling down. He's currently, I believe, 16th. Not too much of a fall off there.
Yeah, good pace between lap 1 and 2. So very minimal drop off actually. That's about half as much as we've been seeing from other drivers. So let's see what 3 now looks like. Ideally for him, it would be a low 6. It's a mid 6, so a bit more of drop off there. But where does he sit right now? He sits 25th. So this needs to be a good lap 4. A little bit high there, though, through 2. That could hurt his run down this back straightaway, just in terms of just getting overall pace. But let's take a look here. 230, he does get up to 230 really early on in that one. But now, has he hurt himself in the corners with that tire wear? Here we go, just one more corner, and he can, once he gets out of here, he can kind of start to breathe now. And it's just whatever's going to come up on that timing screen. You just kind of have to accept it. Your run is done now. Across the line for Logan Spath. 39.662. That's going to put him 32nd, just inside the show for now. But there's some big hitter names coming up right after him, including.
Yeah, coming up. We have Stefan Wilson. We still have Victor Del Porto, who we know will have some speed. It's going to be tight. Rish, if you don't mind, talk about the format the rest of the night that we will see here for qualifications.
Yeah, so after tonight, or after this particular session ends, so the gun will go off at 9 p.m., and immediately the bumping round will begin. So 33rd on back will all be given the opportunity to run just one more, 4-lap average run. So the way it'll work is the last place finishing car in round 1 qualifying. So I believe we have, 54 cars attempting qualifying here tonight. Car number 54 will, will run first, and then they'll run all the way until car number 33 from round 1 runs, and we'll decide that final spot on the grid. And then whenever that round is over, we then kick over to Fast 9 qualifying. So expect maybe an hour or so of bumping, maybe a little bit less than that, but then we click over to Fast 9. Same process though, one run, so one 4-lap run to determine who gets pole position for next week's Indy 500.
I've got shattered glass all over the place. I hope that's not a bad everybody. So, all right, so we're gonna have Rish, 21 drivers battling for one spot here.
In just a little bit, yep.
So it is going to be exciting, and you talk about right now. If you look at the 33rd fastest time, it's a 39.61. And then the 32nd fastest time right now is a 39.608. So it is close. Guys like Santino Ferrucci, Anders Krohn on the outside looking in. Stefan Wilson will be next out for his qualifying attempt. But 39.607 for the 44 car right now, tracking in the 22nd position.
Yeah, and there's just 15 minutes left in this session, so drivers need to start getting a little bit nervous, especially if you're just further back in the run order right now. Next up, we've got, again, big hitters: Stefan Wilson, Henry Bennett, Chris Wilhite, Caleb Bensey, Charles Teed, then Thiago Benedetti, Chad Thurnquist, Victor Del Porto, Christopher Kresge, and then Tate Lytle. I don't even know if we're going to get all the way to Tate Lytle. So where is Lytle right now? I actually don't see him on timing and scoring. He might have pulled his lap time, and I don't know if he's going to get that back.
And we've seen this in real bumping at the Indianapolis 500. There's just that risk. Do you pull yourself out to go for a faster time? And then at that point, you have enough time. So as this run continues on, a 39.633, and it just continues to fall here outside of that top 33, 39.612, 1/1000th of a second. Wow, outside of being inside of that 33rd car field. So a very, very familiar looking car here, the number 27, Cusick Motorsports. Our friend Steph Wilson joining us for this event, as he will come down to the green flag of best lap so far, 39.502. We will see what the veteran of the Indianapolis 500, twice he started in the Indianapolis 500, can do here on his qualification run on the Elite Racing Network.
Yeah, and actually a quick clarification from something I said just a minute earlier. Those drivers who do not end up taking to the racetrack, after they've withdrawn their times, will have their times reinstated. So we could see a very different field here to what we're talking about in terms of bumping. We don't know. Once the driver withdraws their time, though, on timing and scoring, it shows up as a 0 for us. So not until the gun goes off will we actually know whether those drivers who don't get their final laps in are actually going to be in the show or not.
Steph Wilson with his best lap so far on lap number 1, 39.473, currently puts him second. However, Rish, as we know, we have seen a lot of drop-off, but a pretty good first lap there. A good time to put down your best lap if you're Steph Wilson at 39.473.
Yeah, that's a really good first lap there. 19th fastest single lap speed of the night. Lap number 2 is going to be a 5.48. Another solid lap there, puts him P6 right now. This could be a top 20 time here by the end of it, but again, needs to maintain that overall pace. So still TBD, but man, oh man, good start for Stefan Wilson. He needs to finish it off though.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen massive drop-offs. So this has been a mild drop-off, to say the least, to go from 3rd down to the 5th, to go down to the 6th position here for Steph Wilson, as he is cleanly off corner number 4 and will come down to take the white flag to start the final lap of the run. We'll see where this lap lands him. It's a 39.596 down to 13th. So, Rish, as you mentioned, it's going to be real close, right around that top 20 spot.
Yeah, it is going to be really close, but he's done a good job. Between 2 and 3, there was not significant drop-off, so a little bit of a drop-off between 1 and 2, but very close between 2 and 3, and so he's hoping that he kind of can do that again between 3 and 4 to kind of maintain a solid 4-lap average speed.
Steph Wilson on the course, completing his qualification run nice and smooth off of corner number 4. Checkered flag in the air for Steph Wilson. He was 13th after lap number 3. Lap number 4 is a 39.639, and that will move him all the way down to the 17th position. So not too much of a drop-off there. Looks like Steph Wilson will be safely in for the 500 coming up next Friday.
Here's a big hitter now, Henry Bennett, 2-time IndyCar champion, 2-time Indy 500 champion. Knows how to get the job done here in Indy 500 qualifying as well. Let's see what he can do. He removed his lap time and now is able to run. Big risk for the driver of that no longer number 1 car. We're so used to calling his name of the number 1 car. Lost the championship last year to Alexander Van de Sant, who's running 3rd right now in qualifying. But Bennett wants to find his way back up into that top 9 and compete for pole position later tonight.
A quick lap so far of 39.481. He would certainly like to replicate that or go just a little bit faster on lap number 1.
And he does.
And he does. A 39.455 so far, tracking on the pole. Obviously, that'll fall off a little bit throughout the run, but a great first lap here for Bennett.
Yeah, really good first lap there. That's exactly what he wanted for this first group. The question is, can he maintain a pace that's good enough to keep him inside that top 9? I don't know if the track conditions are there. He might not have had the greatest first run there, which is why he's opted to do this. But also, I mean, even if Bennett doesn't quite make that fast 9, do not count him out for the race, because 2 seasons ago when he won his second Indy 500, he did it running in about 6th position, having every single driver in front of him fall out. But there you go. Lap number 2 for Bennett. That's going to drop him only to 3rd. So good first 2 laps here for this run.
Yeah, and it looks like this may be flirting with a top 10 qualifying effort. I think it will be close, as he is halfway through the run down the backstretch, as he will come around for the white flag here. Nice and smooth. He uses up all of that inside the white line on turn 3, all the way down below the white line on turn 4, down the front straightaway to complete lap number 3. Again, currently tracking P3. This lap is going to be a 39.581 for Henry Bennett. That'll move him down to 8th with an average so far of 39.526.
Yeah, here we go. This is going to be very interesting. How close will he be to that time of AJ Musselman? I mean, he's tied with it right now. So, and with Ryan Shull just 1,000th of a second away, I think it's not going to be a Fast 9 appearance for Henry Bennett, but it will be a guaranteed top 15 spot, assuming he completes turn 4, and he does. So he's good to go there. He will qualify for the Indy 500, but no pole position this year for that number 7 car. Where will he be, though?
Yep, the last lap of the run, 39.622. That'll move Bennett down to the 15th position. So one of the faster ones that we have seen over the last several runs finds himself currently 15th, so certainly locked into the show.
Yeah, really, really incredible job there. And now Chris Wilhite takes to the racetrack here. And again, time is running out for these drivers. It is 8:51 here on the East Coast. Just 9 minutes left for drivers to complete their runs. And it takes about 5 minutes for one run to complete itself. So with Wilhite just starting this right now, we'd assume that Bensey will be the last driver allowed to take his run. Potentially, Charles Teed will start his, and if he does take to the racetrack when the gun goes off, he will be allowed to complete that run. But we will have to see.
Right, it's not 55 after the hour, right? James Hinchcliffe style. We're going.
No,
right.
This one's going to be. I've gotten confirmation from Race Control. It will be 9 p.m. Eastern, not 8:55. I did ask that specific question because of James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah. All right. Purple car here, the 21 of Wilhite, a 39.475 first lap puts him currently P2. So usually when we see these drivers, Rish, go about P2 to P3 on their first lap, they end up anywhere from 15th to about 20th.
Yeah, this could be really interesting. So good start, though, of course. That's exactly what he needed. But yeah, I mean, it's so dependent, right? Because we saw, what, a 4.8, I think, from Victor Del Porto. He's down in 22nd. We saw, a 4.5 from Henry Bennett. He's now in 16th. A 5.85 on lap 2 for Chris Wilhite's not going to do him any favors as he drops all the way to 11th. On lap number 2, so not great drop-off there between 1 and 2. He's going to want to find some of that and maintain some of that pace between laps 2 and 3.
Yeah, Rish, and we're looking now as we get later in the day as he hugs the wall heading into turn number 3. The shadows down the front straightaway, maybe that's what we see in that first lap be a little bit faster. But yeah, the drop-off has certainly been significant, as about half of the front straightaway is under the shadows here as you cross the start-finish line and head down into 1.
So 39.609, where does that put Wilhite? It puts him P16 right now. One more lap. Again, this could be a top 20 run. That's where we expect to see guys who put in that big first lap around a 39.4. But the question is, can he maintain that? There's a lot of wear on those tires. You're just hanging on right now for dear life, getting through these last 2 corners, turns 3 and turn 4. You're mentally exhausted from this run. It is extremely draining. Just, you think 10 laps or 10 miles, it can't be that difficult. It really shouldn't be, but it really is. And Chris Wilhite across the line, across the yard of bricks, it's going to be a 39.644. Where does that put him? Should be inside, I think, the top 20. just outside 22nd for Will Height as Bensey now takes to the racetrack with 6 minutes left. Bensey, I think, should complete his run, and Teed, I think, will be the last driver to go before that gun fires.
Yeah, it is 54 right now, so with 6 minutes left to go, maybe this attempt and one more as mentioned. What a night so far. It's going to only continue to get equally as exciting here as Bensey takes to the race course for his attempt here to make it into the Indianapolis 500. We want to thank C2 Freight Services. C2 Freight offers complete freight management services. They are ready to meet your needs today, as well as your changing needs in the future. With thousands of qualified carriers in their databases, they're capable of handling shipping for every type of goods, from perishable foods to office equipment. Whatever you need to ship, they have access to the necessary equipment, including flatbeds, double drops, vans, tankers, refrigerated equipment, multi-axle heavy haulers, dump trucks, auto carriers, intermodal containers, and more. Again, C2 Freight Services.
Yeah, thanks so much to C2 Freight. And while you were telling us about them, Caleb Bensey just put in one of the biggest first laps we've seen tonight. It was a 4.65. He puts in a 39.539 for lap number 2. That keeps him P3 with 2 laps completed. So this could certainly be going his way for Caleb Bensey. Let's see, though, can he carry that speed, carry that momentum through laps 3 and 4? Almost done with 3, and he's almost 75% done with his run. Is this going to be a fast 9 time? I don't know if the track conditions are going to allow for anybody to really jump up into the fast 9, but it should be a comfortable run for sure for Bensey. But here we go, 39.576, very minimal drop-off again, but it's still going to be down to 10th position already, just so close between these top 9 guys in the order. So Bensey right now hoping that he can maybe out-qualify Henry Bennett, who also put in that monster first lap and is now right now in P16. Bensey hoping he can maybe be up inside that top 15.
Yeah, and we'll see here on the final lap of the run where he tracks to. Currently, as you mentioned, it looks like he is 10th. So we should see a fall off to about 15th or 16th, just compared to kind of what we've seen over the last couple of runs. As he comes down the front straightaway to complete the lap, we will see where that cycles Caleb Bensey here throughout the field, and it looks like he will find himself.
He still hasn't been updated, I don't believe, but we'll see. Maybe it has been. Well, Charles Teed out on the racetrack right now as we wait for the update there on Bensey. 3 minutes left in the session. Bensey's still sitting 10th. Maybe that lap time was enough to keep him in 10th position there. So if it was, heck of a job from Caleb Bensey, but I'm not sure I saw that time change on the average tracker there. So TBD on that time from or on that 4-lap average for Bensey. But as of right now, it is now Charles Teed's job to step up to the plate, and he's now going to have to put down 4 laps before the gun goes off here. No other cars will be allowed to go in this first round, which means for people like Hans Slogi, Logan Spath, Gavin Hibbs, Jari Brubaker, their days are already over. Unfortunately, or excuse me, no, they're not. They're going to be involved in the bumping session. My bad. Got a little bit ahead of myself there.
So Teed on in the circuit with a very Robbie Gordon-esque livery here, back to the Menards days in the late 90s when, you remember, he ran both St. Louis Gateway Saturday and then came to the Indianapolis 500 the next day and almost won it, ran out of fuel with about a lap and a half to go. So the charge is on here to make it in one of the last qualifiers of the afternoon before we really start to get bumping and get things going here at a 39.572 on lap number 1. Don't think this is going to be good enough from Teed.
Yeah, that's not great there for Charles Teed. Yeah, let's see. Again, just waiting for timing and scoring to update on that one. For some reason, we're not getting full updates here. At least I'm not getting full updates on our timing and scoring. So a little bit delayed there in terms of the action on that. So not sure exactly where he's tracking after that. Then a 39.624 again, not going to help him.
No, it is not. He might be on the outside looking in on this one as he brings it off corner number 2, a 39.6 2022A that's down into the 20s. So I don't think this is going to be the run that he is looking for.
Yeah, let's see. Again, difficult to say without having the full-on tracker. Teed, yeah, still showing 8th fastest right now, but we know he's completed 2 laps, or multiple laps since he was last put. So there we go. We're finally getting updates there. Bensey dropped down to 15th after his run as the gun does finally, or actually maybe not. They might get a car rolling here before the gun goes off. We'll see. It is Thiago Benedetti does go out onto the racetrack. He gets in just before it goes off. Meanwhile, Teed still showing his P8, but here we go. One more car able to run their fast lap before the gun now as it goes off.
Charles Teed at the 27th performance there, 39.591. That's what timing and scoring is showing on my end. So Teed, 27, 39.592. Bruno DeCarmo, who we saw go out, is on the bubble right now. He's 33rd, 39.603. So, Rish, very important to be 32nd on up, then you're guaranteed in.
Yeah, basically, so right now, Bruno DeCarmo looking like he's the guy who's going to have to still continue to sweat through tonight about whether or not he's going to make it, as well as everybody who qualified behind him. But right now, let's see, Benedetti, where does he sit as again, just some more adjustments here into timing and scoring. So right now, the drivers who aren't going to get a run in now, who set lap times earlier in the night, who pulled their name out, they're going to get those runs given back to them. So Benedetti, we said, was going to be the last driver to put in a lap time. So right now, I believe we're getting very close to having our finalized timing. So we'll see if that bumps DeCarmo. I think he, though, might still be in as Benedetti gets rolling here. Lap number 2 complete, 39.652. Going to be tricky there to race his way into this one. We'll see if he's in this top 33 group. I don't believe I see him.
No, 39.652, the last speed there. I don't believe that, as you mentioned, will be good enough to find himself into the field here as he completes this run. Again, last lap was 39.652. Off corner number 4, we'll see where he tracks here as he continues in the 46 car on this run.
Yeah, so should have one more lap here, but a 39.685 isn't going to do him too many favors, unfortunately. For Benedetti, it looks like it might be another run here in bump qualifying before he decides whether or not he's able to make it into the show. Has one more opportunity after this, but I don't believe, even with a monster 4th lap, I don't think it's going to be enough here to bring that average back up into a top 33 time. You're going to take a sub 39.6 average lap time, and he's done the last 2 laps in the mid 39.6s. So unfortunately for Benedetti there, that last one, 39.732, he's going to have to try once more in that bump session as finally round 1 is over. And we're just going to wait those final results here, wait for race control to let us know before we get to bumping.
And that was exciting. I mean, we had a lot of guys we thought would maybe find themselves inside of that top position or in the top 10, but nobody really cracked into the top 9 there. So now we can hit the reset button. 33 cars in right now. I believe the top 32 locked in. And we'll have a bunch of drivers going back out for one more attempt to grab that 33rd and final spot coming up in next week's Indianapolis 500 here on the Elite Racing Network.
For sure. So as we wait for this transition over to the bump period, we'll be right back with you guys in just a moment. All right, back to it. As they are still transitioning, we did just get confirmation that what you see on the left-hand side of your screen will be the final running order for round number 1. So congratulations to Adriano Pinero, Jared Rexing, Alexander Vandesant, Chad Frankenfield, Nick DeGroot, Eric Troiano, Justin Fortner, AJ Musselman, and Ryan Schuld for being your Fast 9. They'll go on just after this next session coming up here, which will be bumping. However, the drivers who don't have to worry about qualifying, who don't have to worry about bumping, their night is done. They're going to be Presley Sora, Hunter Smith, Joao Ritter, Nicholas Sudik, Caleb Bensey, Robert Maleska, Henry Bennett, Tyler Fody, Tony Kanaan, Stefan Wilson. That's going to be an exciting row right there. Noon Flores, Robert Hill, Victor Del Porto, Charles Teed, Chris Wilhite, Marshall Stanley, Joe Ribeiro, Christopher Kresge, Nate Sefker, Alexander Regon, Ethan Stanley, Mike Gibson, and Bruno De Carmo, and then Michael Hossack on back. Those guys will all need to join in with the bumping schedule. And so as that leaderboard gets set up there, we're going to take a look here at what that's going to look like here in terms of drivers who still need to qualify their way into this race. And boy, that is a pretty star-studded list, if you ask me.
Yeah, and we saw there late in that session, a lot of drivers not quite have the pace to find themselves inside of the top 20. We saw a couple guys as you look down the leaderboard that were just a few tenths of a second off. We go back to somebody's run, maybe like an Anders Krohn, who twice had a moment coming off of corner number 4, which may have led to a tenth or two slower. So we're going to see a lot of these guys strapping it back down and going for that 33rd position to try to find themselves into this race that we will see coming up next Friday night. So very exciting qualifying session there, and Rish will continue here throughout the evening.
Yeah, it absolutely will. So a little bit of a smaller field here. We're going to run through these 19 cars in that order you see on your screen. So David Porcelli will be the first driver to run tonight. We'll wait before he's given that clear to head out onto the racetrack. But there you see it. But big names to look out for: Santina Ferrucci, Anders Krohn. Both of them, only one of them is able to make it in. Jari Brubaker, a full-time driver. Tate Lytle, our reigning Cup Series champion, in here as well. A couple of other talented drivers from a variety of elite racing leagues as well as other IndyCar racing leagues, all in this bumping group. Only one of these 19 drivers is going to advance and make the field for the 500 next week.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to, can you get down, get those lap times that you need, keep a smooth, consistent lap going. So absolutely looking forward to it here coming up. Rish, before we do, we want to thank Blue Egg Marketing, the marketing department for small businesses. We're your marketing department. Small business owners, Blue Egg is your biggest fan. Constraints, catalyze, and creativity. We help business punch above their weight class. Blue Egg Marketing again. And also Powerhouse Recycling. We want to thank them for their support here. They strive to offer the highest level of customer service in the industry for each load process, time and time again. They believe in quality customer service before, during, and after. They strongly believe through our superior customer service, customized recycling, and complete transparency, we can earn our clients' business and hold longevity in our business relationships. And also thanks to my website and Chad for letting me talk about that. Burnout Sports, burnoutsports.com. We have you covered when it comes to all things IndyCar as we get ready to go here, Rish. Looks like a lot of drivers were dropping off from lap number 1 all the way down to lap number 4. And really, if you can find some consistency in 2 to 3 tenths of a second on this run, you might find yourself in that 33rd spot.
Yeah, that's going to be critical. Is going to be just consistency over the lap, and again, I mean, especially if these guys who are in the bump session have a teammate or someone they've been talking to who's inside in the top 32, maybe just talking to them saying, hey, what setup were you running? Give me some advice here, because right now, I mean, you're trying to find anything, grasp at anything, just go for it to get your way into this qualifying. So this is where we're going to start seeing some more desperate attempts to find their way in, and we're just waiting for that official notification that Porcelli's given the okay to head out onto the racetrack. It should be happening any second now, as a 9:10 is the moment that we're expected to see that first car allowed to roll out onto the racetrack. Let's take a look, though. The 93 car still stationary on pit road. David Porcelli. Let's see if he's going to be ready to go anytime soon here. Just waiting on that order for him. But yeah, it's going to be pretty terrifying for these drivers. It's going to be mentally exhausting, but Porcelli, given the okay to head out onto the racetrack, rolls it down pit road, and bump session is officially underway.
And we just did learn this, Rish, that a few drivers will not be a part of the top 9. So this will become what we actually will see coming up for next month at Indianapolis 500. We will see a top 6, a shootout for those first 2 rows.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe, let me take a look and see, the drivers that we got confirmation won't be able to run. It's going to be Van de Sant, Ryan Schold, and Jared Rexing will not be running. So we'll just have a 6 car, a fast 6 effectively. Those 3 drivers will line up 7th, 8th, and 9th based off of their round 1 lap times. So that kind of settles those positions at least. They're a little bit locked into their spots now as well. So we'll have a Firestone, or excuse me, an Elite Fast 6. But right now we're worried about bumping. David Porcelli out onto the racetrack, ready to give it his all.
And we will see if he has it in him to find himself in that 33rd position. This is going to be intense because you're going to know pretty much right away, Rish, whether or not you have a lap 1 that's going to put you comfortably in, and then see how much of a fall off we will have as these drivers shoot for that 33rd spot.
Yeah, the other thing to take into mind is this is the same session, it's the same day and everything within iRacing as we just completed with round 1. It is literally just 10 minutes advanced from where we just were. So how do track conditions change? Again, as we continue to look at what those might be in terms of time on the racetrack. Unfortunately, don't have that update for me just right now, but that could be important as well. Could the track start getting a little bit cooler as the day goes on, and could those guys who run later in this bump session be in for a little bit of a quicker lap time? But we don't know that quite yet. But what we do know is that lap number 1 for David Porcelli, the first lap he's turned tonight actually, is a 39.529. It's not a terrible lap for lap 1. But he might need to find a little bit more if he wants to survive bumping. But again, we kind of have to reset our expectations here. We've been looking at so many drivers, who were looking at top 15 positions. Now we're moving a little bit further back here. What is a good lap time actually going to look like? Between 1 and 2, that's a solid split there in terms of drop-off.
39.597 as he makes his first qualifying run here on the day. Again, qualifying day, the Warriors for Peace qualifying day. warriorsforpeace.org. And again, Rish, a smooth line, consistency. The conditions seem to be okay. A lot of drivers getting going there on that first lap. But different here for David, Rish, because this is his first go-round at it.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. So that is why he's the first driver. He didn't even put in a lap time during the round 1 of qualifying. So a lot weighing on him for this particular run as he runs 6.38 on his 3rd lap there. Yeah, I mean it's tough. Some people can just step out there and perform on that first run. Don't really need to set themselves up or do a lot of practice laps. That could work out for some people, but I'd be nervous if my first lap was in bump session. Of running in these conditions. This lobby could be a little bit different in how it's set up to what you practiced in. There's so many different things that could happen, but right now he's doing all right for himself. Again, we don't know relative what this time is going to be compared to the other drivers in the pack, but a 39.660 on lap number 4 is going to complete that run for David Porcelli. We'll see, is that going to be enough? Tate Lytle next out onto the racetrack.
Lytle will come out next. We will have now a top 5 shootout. It looks like Justin Fortner will not be involved in that top 9 shootout for the Fast 9 drivers. So a top 5 shootout now we will see here coming up following this as we try to fill the field here for next week's race. And again, Lytle here, I don't remember seeing him, but a 39.474 as a fast lap. You want to definitely put down something similar, or if not faster, on your first go-round.
That's a big lap for lap number 1 for Lytle, and I think what we might be seeing here is another driver who didn't put in a lap time in round 1, and this is showing up in a big moment for Tate Lytle. He was scheduled to run late in the session. He didn't get a chance to get his run in round 1. So now he has to focus on the bumping session. So this could be important here. Lytle, 4.74, big first lap. We'll see how the kind of the fall off is for that car. But Lytle we know is an accomplished racer. Big fall off though from lap 1 and 2. We'll see if 3 and 4 can be a little bit more consistent from Tate. But right now, significantly ahead of David Porcelli in terms of 2-lap average versus the 4 from Porcelli.
Indeed, a 39.580 as mentioned on that last lap. And it doesn't seem like, maybe I'm just seeing this because I am old, doesn't seem to be as bright out on this race course as maybe it was 10 to 15 minutes ago. I know we saw a lot of sun splash on that front straightaway, but that back straightaway looked a little bit darker than what we've seen. So maybe the track conditions are cooling off a little bit, which Rish would mean faster times here as Lotto goes 39.619.
Yeah, no, that's again a little bit of a drop off there. Not what Tate Lytle wanted to see, but yeah, definitely seems to be a little bit darker on the racetrack. So, bit of a speed cloud here. Is that going to benefit Tate? Is it going to benefit whoever runs next? That's going to be Alec Balvans. How is this going to affect the overall running order of, end running order here of this bump session? We'll take a look and see, but still dark-ish on that front straightaway as Lytle completes his run. See what he's able to do there. It's going to be a 6.25. So consistent on those last 3 laps. It was that first big lap and then kind of a bit of a fall off from then.
Yeah, definitely a fall off as we have been talking about. A 39.625 there on that. So the 33rd position right now, if not mistaken, is not up there, Rish. But this is going to really start getting hot and heavy here as some of these drivers try to find themselves in that last spot.
Yeah, it's just, again, a lot of pressure on these drivers. You're just doing whatever you can. So right now, Porcelli, his day's over, right? So that's the crazy thing about this whole, this whole qualifying situation is, especially these guys who run early, you're going to know instantly whether or not you're still in this or whether you're absolutely out of it. So Balvans could finish this run. He could bump Tate Lytle, and Lytle is done for tonight and next week. Or Balvans will finish his run, and he'll find that he's not in the show. It is crazy the way this bumping session works, that only one driver makes it in.
And that is, you have no room for error, Rish. As you know, you have no room to have a wiggle. As we saw with Anders Krohn, twice coming off of turn number 4, he had a moment. You have a moment on any of these 4 laps, and you're going to find yourself on the outside looking in.
Absolutely. So it's going to be all about minimizing mistakes throughout this run, but also, of course, maximizing just your straight-up speed. You have to take risks and hope they pay off. At this point, it's either, you feel like you kind of have to be in a situation of you got to send this car or it needs to end up in the wall because, lap times here, they matter so much and it is going to be very close at the end of it. So right there already, Balvans teetering very close to Tate Lytle's overall lap time. Good split between the first and second laps, but not a great first lap to kind of give him that big buffer to work with. Again, if he can be consistent, maybe he can stay there, but 0.006 of a second is going to be hard to maintain over 5 miles.
Exactly, 39.597 as mentioned. And you're going to have to find a little bit more, I think, on that first lap if you want to find yourselves in that 33rd spot. And Rish, just to speculate a little bit, I think a 39.43 is what we're going to be searching for, somewhere in that range.
Absolutely, and officially with that, unless Balvans somehow pulls off a 39.5 on this next lap, I think he's about to be bumped from this 2022A Indy 500, which would be an absolute shame there. But that's just the truth of bump day, unfortunately. It's seeing so many cars go home always feels unfortunate, but there's a reason. 33 cars has always been the number at Indy, and that should never change.
Yeah, and you gotta be on it on all 4 of your laps to make it into the field. So it'll be interesting to see here what some of these upcoming drivers do as far as lap times, adjusting their race cars, and knowing, hey, we just went out. Here's what we need to find. Here's what we need to do.
Yeah, for sure. So a bit of a disappointing end there for Alec Balvans. Not what he wanted to end this night with, but there it is. Balvans going to be 3rd fastest of the 3 cars to run so far, waiting for the next car to go out on the track. It should be Christian Alesio, but I don't see him on the racetrack quite yet. Still stationary on the track, and Alesio has just been removed from that running order, I believe. He has. So now it's going to be to Thiago Benedetti. I guess Alacia will then also be bumped. Benedetti now released from the pit lane. And
the 39.5 as his best lap. You're going to have to, I think, certainly improve on that to find yourselves inside of the field coming up next Friday. But you never know. You never know what you can find. You go back, adjust things, get those tires warmed up, as we see a little wiggly on that warm-up lane that we saw bite a few former Indy 500 winners in testing last week. So we will see what Benedetti can do here to possibly put himself into the show. Rish, go ahead and let him know who is currently the 33rd fastest showing in the field.
Yeah, well, currently 33rd fastest is right there at the top of your timing sheets. Tate Lytle is in this bumping session. Is currently the driver who's gonna make it in, but yeah, again, so many drivers still to go, so much talent still to go. Again, the guys I'm keeping my eye on: Anders Krohn, Santino Ferrucci, Jari Brubaker, even Eric Macedo. I think he's run a couple of times with us and had good runs. Chad Thurnquist, another talented driver in the field. So this could change very quickly. Thiago Benedetti, let's see what he can do on lap number 1, though. Last run didn't end too well. Ended that with a 39.732 was his last lap. When he finished. I think of the cars who ran, or no, Balvans would have been, I suppose, the slowest 4-lap average of the cars who ran in round 1, but Benedetti not much better there, so he's hoping to find some major gains here. Lap number 1, 39.634 already. That puts him below Tate Lytle's 4-lap average.
Yep, and he's going to have to find what nobody else has found so far in his qualifying session, Rish, and that is speed throughout the rest of the run. I don't think we have seen a second, third, or fourth lap faster than a driver's first lap. So Benedetti on the outside looking in, barring any kind of major circumstances here.
Yeah, unfortunately for him. We will we'll see, though, if he can pull anything off here. Lap number 2. It's a 6.55, no.
Very consistent run, but just certainly not going to be enough here to find himself inside of the show and inside of the 33.
So down this back straightaway then for Thiago Benedetti. Unfortunate there for him, just not quite the pace he's been looking for in that number 22 car. He's getting a little bit aggressive there on those curves in 3 and 4, maybe just trying to find some pace. Maybe he can, but too little too late, I think, at this point. With 2 laps in the book above a 39.6, it's going to be hard to keep that in. But again, consistent. I mean, that's the lowest drop-off we've seen between laps. Oh, as he hits the wall, that might have just been netcode for us. No, it wasn't. He does hit the wall. Damage to the front right, and it's day over for Benedetti.
And like you said, you're just pushing it. You're trying to get yourself into the show. You know, after that first lap, you're on the outside looking in, and just very unfortunate there as he does not complete the run and will not race with us coming up next week.
So now Chad Thurnquist takes to the racetrack. Thurnquist, race winner in the Cup Series this season, loose exiting pit road there, trying to just get as much pace as possible there. But here we go. Thurnquist, again, not a great fastest lap either, 50th fastest in terms of just 1 lap pace. So he's going to have to kind of dig deep and find something. What can this driver come up with as he completes his warm-up lap? Just 3/4 of a warm-up lap here, and gets ready to go as we're straight away into this qualifying run for Chad Thurnquist.
Down the front straightaway he comes, a 39.593, his best so far as the attempt is underway.
Yep, so green flag waves for him. It was 232 down the front straightaway there, so maybe a little bit of a tailwind then heading into 1, and now a bit of a headwind heading into 3. He still gets 231 though heading into 3, so big speed from this car of Chad Thurnquist. The question is he carrying that same speed through the corners? 227 coming out of 3 is a little bit lower than we've seen. Same with 225 out of 4. But is that speed on the straightaways going to be enough to kind of give him that advantage? We'll take a look here. Lap number 1 for Chad Thurnquist is going to look like a 39.528. Good, but is it good enough?
Don't think that it is going to be, because the drop-off has just been massive. He currently finds himself, I believe, second. But again, or excuse me, he has the top time so far. But again, he just has 0.5 of a second to work with here to knock off Tate. So it is going to be close, but doesn't seem like he has enough.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but let's take a look here. Again, if it's a more consistent run, could potentially do that, but normally those guys who get this 39.5 in the first lap, you're going to see some drop-off. So Thurnquist, lap number 2, it's a 5.54, so again, very consistent from 1 to 2, but again, you're still now just halfway through this run, so much more time to go. May not have the best overall one-lap pace, but if he can be consistent throughout these 4 laps like no one else has been tonight, he might have a chance, but it's getting very close to Tate Lytle's 4-lap average here. He's going to have to be very strong on laps 3 and 4.
Yeah, very, very, very tight here to be able to keep it in the show for this upcoming race, and we will see exactly where he ends up here as he crosses the start-finish line. This lap, a 39.577. So nonetheless, a very consistent run here.
Very impressive run here, and it's going to be close. I want to see what this average looks like after 3 laps. It's a 5.53 right now. I think we're still awaiting that next lap. I'm actually not sure if that's 3 or 2-lap average there. I think it's a 3-lap. No, that might actually be the 3-lap average, yeah. So, yeah, Thurnquist, what can he do here? Right now has 2 hundredths of a second over Tate Lytle. Can he maintain that gap? He's been consistent in his drop-off by only about 2 100ths of a second on average. Could Chad Thurnquist here legitimately bump Tate Lytle? He's going to go all the way to the wall there. 39.601 on that last one. Oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be real close. He does.
He keeps
Tate
it in
Lytle is out. Bumped from the Indy 500 next week. Chad Thurnquist moves up into that 33rd spot.
And I think we will see this continue to go that direction. Toledo's going to have to find some speed from his first run, however, if he wants to find himself in the field. But already out on the race course, taking in his warm-up lap, that Marlboro throwback livery for the number 42 car.
Yeah, the thing for me that's impressive, though, most about that Thurnquist run was the drop-off. I mean, there was a 1/10 of a second drop-off between lap 1 and 4. We haven't seen that from anybody yet. We normally are seeing about 0.2 of a second total drop-off between laps 1 and 4. So the fact that, sure, that lap 1 wasn't great, but consistent throughout those 4 laps, a different approach, I think, to what we've seen everybody else take, and it paid off well so far for Chad Thurnquist. Again, still quite a few drivers to go in this bumping round.
Yes, indeed. So, again, some of these drivers so dang close, Rich, to being in or to be on the outside looking in. We still have the Fast 9 coming up, quote-unquote, the Fast 5 that we will see. A 39.491 on lap number 1 for Toledo.
Yeah, so Toledo, big first lap here, but remember, Tate Lytle's first lap, I think, was a 4.71. So not a guarantee of anything quite yet. It really does come down to the importance of the average over these 4 laps. So let's take a look. Lap 2, I think, is going to be a good indicator of what this run's going to look like for Tails Toledo.
You can keep this at a 39.599 or 501 maybe, but it's going to be dang close as he kisses the wall coming off of corner number 4 to complete lap number 2. Lap number 2, a 39.590. So a pretty big drop off there.
Big drop off there, and already getting close to that Chad Thurnquist. But yeah, if he's consistent there in the 5.90 for the next 2 laps, but I think there's still going to be drop off here. I think he might just drop behind Chad Thurnquist here, ahead of Tate Lytle. But unfortunately, I don't know if that's quite going to be enough to be in the show. He wanted to be probably closer to a 39.54 or 39.53 on that kind of drop off between 1 and 2.
There he comes off of corner number 4 in that 29 machine. A beautiful looking race car as he crosses the start-finish line. The last lap of the run, a 39.606.
Oh, that's close.
With fresh timing and scoring, he's still tracking in that 33rd position, the fastest of this group.
But man, oh man, that is close. That is 0.03 of a second faster than Chad Thurnquist. He's going to have to drop 4 hundredths of a second to his last lap to still, I think, beat Chad Thurnquist here. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Shallow off of turn number 4. Didn't use all that racetrack there. Takes that shorter run to the line versus Thurnquist. What's it going to be? Not enough.
Oh, not enough. So darn close. And I think as we continue to go here, Rish, we will see these drivers get – it's going to be so close, and you absolutely have to put down 4 perfect laps.
You really do. It needs to be either needs to be a massive first lap and then hanging on for the rest of it, or it needs to be that I think Tate Lytle and Chad Thurnquist showed the 2 options that you have if you want to make this show. And somebody needs to work that out, because I think if you're a driver right now who you're struggling to get that 1-lap pace, back off a little bit on that first lap. Maybe not, but just give yourself that opportunity to adjust over the course of the run. Don't allow it to fall off as much as possible. But some guys are able to just maintain their tires a little bit better throughout the run. Adjust their setups a little bit better throughout the run and do better in that sense. But man, it's going to be tricky here.
On the outside looking in, Chad Thurnquist is the driver to beat at 39.565. Again, only 1 spot up for grabs as Kendall Noah Player comes on to the race course.
So Kendall Noah Player, that first lap, his best ever of the night, 39.495. Again, another bigger lap compared to what we saw from Tail Solito. He was a 4.91. The question is now, can Noah Player do what Toledo wasn't quite able to do, and that's prevent that major drop-off from 1 to 2, prevent that major drop-off from 2 to 3, and as well from 3 to 4. Let's take a look here. How does he do? He doesn't. That's a 1/10 of a second lost right there between laps 1 and 2.
Yeah, 39.596. That pretty much all but takes you out unless you have a miracle here and a miracle, Rich, that we just haven't seen.
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Again, his average right now, you guys might be seeing, he's tracking ahead of Chad Thurnquist, but a reminder that it's 4 laps, and we're seeing a big drop-off here between laps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So here for Kendall Noah Player, as he completes lap number 3, potentially could see this drop into the 39.6s, and I think once you see that number, it might be race or qualifying over, and it is. Kendall Noah Player drops to 3rd before even completing lap number 4.
That'll do it for Noah Player, and we will continue on here as we wait for more drivers to head on out. And Rish, it's intense, and if you, like you said, if you have too much of a drop off, and it seems like the drop off has came between laps 1 and 2, that'll absolutely make or break your run. And so far, it's broken a lot of runs, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it absolutely has, and it's unfortunate to see again, but that's one of the big challenges of the 500 qualifying, and I remember it personally as I ran 2 elite Indy 500s in my time, a long time ago, admittedly, but the trickiest part of qualifying was you practiced in certain conditions, and the track would change so significantly between your first run, your second run, or if you ever got into bump qualifying, the way the track just adjusted and all that, it was so tricky to modify your driving style to kind of catch up with the track and keep up with the track. So what we're seeing here is guys probably just struggling a little bit with their car changing, the track changing, all of these different conditions. There is less grip out there than maybe some of them expected coming into this night.
Absolutely, and things change by the second. Harleman coming out here with a 39.546 as his best lap so far in the 47. Doesn't look like he is going to have the speed needed to qualify for this race. A 55.37 there. I believe that was his warm-up lap. As he takes the green flag and heads down the back straightaway.
Yep, so let's take a look here. Harleman, what can he do? We saw him run live here at the end of round number 1. Wasn't, of course, able to make it into that top 32 group. So Harleman now going to start or finish his first flying lap. And what's it going to look like? This will tell us, I think, a lot about what this upcoming run is going to look like. But here we go. Lap number 1 complete for Joel Harleman. It's going to be a 39.529. I'm not sure that's going to be enough. But reminder, Thurnquist ran about that same lap speed on his first lap, but a big wobble through 1 and 2. And I think that's going to really hurt lap number 2 for Harleman.
Yeah, very high coming off of 1 and the entry of turn number 2. may have just cost Harleman and the 42 car a chance at running in next week's Indy 500. We will see here as he brings it off of corner number 4 and heads down the front straightaway. But yeah, very low line there off of corner number 4. I expect this to be somewhere in the 39.8, maybe. See how much that turn 1 cost him. 39.6. So yeah, it cost him a great deal.
Yeah, big cost there, and same thing, same problem there. Is that's almost that. I don't even know what you kind of call that line there, just completely not on the apron. In fact, like half a car length up from the apron. Really an unorthodox line for qualifying. You'd sometimes see that in the race where drivers would use that type of line, but in qualifying, this is not really where you want to be on the track. You want to be right there up against those curbs, as close as you can get without touching them, because touching them will send you into that outside wall.
So the run now complete, and it will not be enough to put him into the show. Oh, I'm sorry, this is his white flag lap, so one more lap to go, but a 39.831 there will not get it done. So Harleman will have to pack up the old helmet and try it again next year.
Yeah, unfortunate there for him. Gonna have to miss tonight's, or excuse me, next Friday night's event. Can watch from the sidelines though and follow all that, just like the rest of you watching at home can watch it right here on the Elite Racing Network YouTube page. Make sure you guys are subscribed, because we've got tons of racing activity all week long, from our Formula 1 and Truck Series on Sunday nights to Monday night Xfinity Series, Wednesday night Cup Series, and of course Friday night IndyCar. Joel Harleman ends his run, will not race in next week's Indy 500. However, this driver might have a shot. Anders Krohn takes the green flag and starts his bump qualifying run.
And we'll see how his line looks here, as we saw in his last qualifying attempt. A little bit high coming off of corner number 4. May have cost him a few tenths of a second. At 34.546 is his best so far. He's going to need a little bit of improvement on that if he wants to find himself as a 33rd starter next week.
Yeah, he is. It's going to require some big one-lap speed from Anders Krohn. Kind of surprised we haven't seen it from him. He's run fairly well in the past in terms of just overall pace in the IndyCars, especially well performing on the road courses, maybe struggling a little bit on the ovals, but here we go. Big, massive first lap there. 39.420, the 10th fastest single lap speed all night, including round 1 and all those Fast 9 qualifiers. Anders Krohn, if he can maintain this pace, is on for a big run.
Krohn down the back straightaway, a great line through corners number 1 and 2. He sets himself up for turns 3 and 4 at the north end of the racetrack. A great line here. He has the speed on lap number 1 to find himself inside the field, a 33rd driver. Let's see what lap number 2 holds here for Krohn as he crosses the start-finish line halfway through the run. Lap 2, 39.521, so a bit of a drop-off there.
Yeah, big drop-off, 10th of a second, but the fact that the big drop-off from 1 to 2 still puts him way up in terms of overall average lap time is big for him. Right now, he's still a 10th of a second, just under, faster than Chad Thurnquist. Of course, just 2 laps completed, but if he can maintain some of that pace that he's got and reduce the drop-off a little bit between 2 and 3, I think he might have it here for this 33rd position, as well as just hold on to this car on these last couple of laps. So here we go, lap 3 coming to a close. What's it going to look like for Anders Krohn across that yard of bricks? It's going to be a 39.562. Again, solid lap time there, and it's a 39.501 average lap. So he doesn't have to do much to keep himself in that 33rd spot.
Looking good so far to find himself in the field. Still a couple more drivers yet to go out to try to knock off the 33rd place position, which holding on this attempt right now is Anders Krohn as he enters turn number 4 for the final time, 2:26, as he heads into corner number 4. Down the front straightaway, no wobbles or wiggles here as we saw on his first run. And the last lap to complete the run is at 39.605. Will that put Anders Krohn into the show? I believe
it did.
It did not.
No, it did.
Oh, it did. Yes, it did.
Krohn, yep. So 4-lap average, 5.27 there. Way ahead of Chad Thurnquist there, and way ahead, of course, of everybody else who's run. So Krohn now with that 33rd spot. And for Chad Thurnquist, it is night over and no chance to race the Indy 500 next week unless we have some drivers opt out of racing. He might be one of those backups, but has to make sure he's kind of still in that close position to 33rd. But in the meantime, Joseph Grijalva is now going to give it his best shot. Doesn't have a great one-lap pace, but again, can he potentially make that work? That might be, though, what you need to do, because Anders Krohn put down a massive first lap, and I think you're going to need that. Let's see what it looks like for Grijalva. Lap 1 complete. What's that going to look like? Not faster than his personal best, a 5.53. Not where he wants to be, considering it's already slower than Krohn's 4-lap average.
Yes, it is. So it will not be for the 45 car and that entry. So he will find himself, again, like so many others, on the outside looking in with this bumping qualifying format where only one driver will fill the field, which is currently Anders Krohn, former Indy Lights driver. You've heard him many times on the IndyCar radio network. Oh, a big brush of the wall there coming off corner number 4. We'll see what that does to the lap time. 39.553 on lap number 1. Lap number 2, 39.597. So consistent nonetheless, but on the outside looking in.
Yeah, unfortunate there for Grijalva, and there that lap goes. It drops him now behind Tate Lytle, behind Chad Thurnquist as well. So, yeah, not what he was looking for. Didn't quite find that first lap pace, and I think you're really going to have to do that. You're going to have to put in a huge first lap to kind of have a shot here. That was a big run from Anders Krohn. He needed that, of course, to get him in the show. And now, obviously, the rest of the guys are in the pit lane looking at that, who are still yet to go and thinking, man, how the heck did he do that? Because we're going to have to emulate that if we want any chance at being in this Indy 500.
Yeah, and really, we didn't really know what he had on that first attempt because we saw twice him come off of corner number 4, get a little wiggly, get a little wobbly, and find himself a little bit out of sorts where he maybe lost a few tenths of a second. So he currently finds himself inside the field in that 33rd position.
Yep, waiting on Eric Macedo to head out onto the racetrack. There he does start to roll, so a little bit delayed in that. So we're going to get his full warm-up lap as we get going. But again, similar situation here. Macedo struggled to get that that first lap down. So 39.522 right now, best single lap speed. Gonna have to find a little bit better than that if he wants to compete. Because even if he does that as his first lap and matches that, it's gonna be tricky to get a 4-lap average faster than the 5.27 from Anders Krohn. Yeah,
and I think Krohn is sitting relatively pretty with that 39.527. As mentioned, that's a full 400th of a second faster than the second position that we've seen go. So Macedo heads onto the track, and then Santino Ferrucci still left to go out, Gavin Hibbs among others as well. So as we continue this final round of 15 cars going for that one spot, this is the 9th attempt, and Anders Krohn is the guy that everybody is hunting for with a 39.527 here on the Elite Racing Network as we get you ready for next Friday night's running of the Richmar Flores Indy 500. Don't forget to follow him on Twitter at Richmar Flores, as next Friday night it will be an exciting one as we set the field here this evening. The Warriors for Peace qualifying day, warriorsforpeace.org. We will have 5 drivers going for that $50 prize and the Dark Horse Indy Series Pole Award coming up here right after these bumping attempts.
Yeah, so for Macedo there, not the first lap he wanted. It's a 5.24. So again, 1 lap that's going to put him ahead of Anders Krohn, but tracking now well below where he'd want to be unless he's able to pull off some kind of miracle, pull these laps all equal all 4 times. But yeah, it might be game over for Macedo. Honestly, looking through this field now, Ferrucci is kind of the one guy who gives me, the thought that maybe he can go and challenge Anders Krohn. Of course, a known quantity in Ferrucci. We saw he really messed up that lap 2 on his qualifying run, but at a big lap 1, could that be enough to have him take that spot over from Krohn, take over that 33rd spot? Only one of these guys is going to make it in.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be between Ferrucci and Krohn, so we shall see what happens here over the next couple of qualifying attempts. But Ferrucci, probably your best option right now if anybody's going to knock off Krohn, who had a great first lap and a very consistent run to put himself in the show for now. Yeah,
he absolutely did. Meanwhile, Macedo completing his next lap here, so 5.62 on lap number 2. Let's take a look at lap number 3. Again, at this point, it's going to be tough. He is unfortunately out of the show already into 39.617. So again, not getting much better there from Macedo, and unfortunately, his week is going to be coming to a close here tonight. Will not race in the Indy 500 next week.
And we kind of know, Rish, here in that first lap where drivers are going to be and what they need to be. And if you're not putting down a 39.4.5 on that opening lap, it's going to be tough for you to find yourself in the show.
Yeah, so word from the drivers, actually just got a little bit of a notification. Track temperature has gone down a little bit from what it was at its highest point, so we could expect to see maybe times getting a little bit quicker here. Remember, you get up to the guys like Michael Hossack, Hans Schogel, Logan Spath. These were guys who just missed that cut. They might have a shot as Macedo finishes his run. Ferrucci now out onto the racetrack. This could get very interesting, and actually Ferrucci already taken the green flag here, getting ready to go. So let's take a look and see what his speed looks like down this back straightaway, already hitting 230 halfway down there. Big straight line speed from this number 18 car. 231 is the best we saw there. Carries most of that through the corner as well. 228 off of 3. 227 off of 226, a little bit there off of 4. Big speed here. Let's see what this looks like for the 18 of Ferrucci.
This will be close in that low 0.4 range here. Lap number 1, 39.456.
So, and he hits the wall. He hits the outside wall coming off of turn number 1. I think that might be run over for Santino Ferrucci. He's going to keep it pointed in the right direction, but I think that's a lot of lap time lost there and potentially toe damage to that car as well. He's dropped off. He's lifted off the throttle. It is game over. Santino Ferrucci, big first lap. Could have contended with Krohn, but wasn't quite able to keep it off the wall there heading into turn number 1, or heading out of turn number 1. And man, oh man, a mistake on lap number 2 prevents Santino Ferrucci from racing next week.
Cool, and that's just how close it is, and you're hanging it out, going for it here to make it into next week's field. And we see, unfortunately, Santino Ferrucci on the outside looking in after making contact with the outside wall coming off of corner number 1. He will not be in the field for next Friday night's running of the Indy 500 here on the Elite Racing Network. Man, you hate to see that, but it just shows the competition level here a week in and week out of the series.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting race next week. I for one, cannot wait. I think we're going to have a fantastic showing. These cars have raced well this season, and they've historically raced well at this Indy 500. So excited to see who our next champion will be, and they'll be crowned next Friday night. But right now, the question is who is going to be in the show. Jari Ruppiger, one of our regulars in the Indy IndyCar Series by Mega Driver 86. Can he put together a solid lap number 1 to put himself in the show? It's going to take a big lap to compete with Anders Krohn. You saw what it took out of Santino Ferrucci. But can Jari Ruppiger find that pace, find that consistency to compete with that 33rd placed car?
Yeah, a little bit on the outside, looking in a high line there off of corner number 4 as he comes down here to complete the lap, a 39.519. Just won't be fast enough.
Yeah, it's his best lap time of the day, so credit where credit's due to Jari for finding that pace. But, man, it's going to be tough to keep that ahead of Anders Krohn when he's already less than 100th of a second faster than that pole sitter, and Ruppiger still has 3 laps to complete.
And again, we have not seen really any drivers, Rish, make up speed from lap number 1 throughout the rest of the run. So unfortunate there, but this looks like this is where it'll end here for that 37 car of Jari Ruppiger.
Yeah, we'll take a look at lap number 2 here. It's a 5.63, so yeah, there's the drop-off, and already he's on the outside of the top 33. Again, continue the run here for Jari. This could put him in a position where if we do have somebody drop out of the field there for a variety of reasons who qualified inside that top 33, Jari could be the next guy in. So you want to put in that best lap as much as possible, though. But yeah.
It's not quite there for the 37 entry. So a few more to go here, and Anders Krohn is who everybody is shooting for.
Yep, getting close here after Brubaker. Just 4 more drivers to run in this bump session, and then we'll transition on to our Elite Fast 5, as it's now been reduced to. We've lost another driver who's not able to stick around to go for that pole position. So the next driver who can't run in that Firestone, or excuse me, that Elite Fast 6, or Fast 9, is Justin Fortner. So 4 drivers, they'll start in those last 4 positions in the top 9, and so the top 5 positions will be decided by a qualifying shootout.
And a $50 pole award there that we look forward to handing out.
Yeah, a lot to play for those drivers as Brubaker finishes his run. He will, unfortunately for him, be 4th fastest, so not even the first alternate there, so a little bit unfortunate there. Gavin Hibbs out on the racetrack, and Hibbs actually put in a 39.092 when he first ran, but immediately on lap number 1 into the wall, and despite that big 1-lap pace potentially for Gavin Hibbs, it's not going to be, and within not even completing his first lap of that run, it's day over for Gavin Hibbs.
And just unfortunate there in turn number 1 of the car that looks very similar to Ryan Hunter-Reay's and Roman Grosjean's, but that'll do it right there. So no Friday night Indy 500 fun coming up for Gavin Hibbs. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, no warning on that incident there. Just as we switched the camera to him, straight into that outside wall. So could be a little bit of a delay here before Logan Spath gets out on the racetrack, because he might have been expecting a little bit of a longer run. But for Hibbs, back onto pit road, and what a shame, because just looking at that, he did put in a monster first lap early in the session in round 1. Obviously wasn't enough for him. Potentially a crash took him out of it on that run as well. But yeah, this time out, no 4 laps for Gavin Hibbs, and no chance to try for the Indy 500. We'll move on, see if Logan Spath decides to run. If he doesn't, he would be out of this one. I think the league officials are going to give him just a few more moments to load into the session. Otherwise, Spath might be out of this too.
We will see here. He had a pretty okay run earlier with the 39.5, but again, we've seen in this session that certainly won't be fast enough. So we will see if he does decide to take to the race course to try to put himself in the field for next Friday night's race.
Yeah, absolutely. So just waiting to see here who the car going out onto the racetrack is. If we have any cars going out onto the racetrack, still waiting and listening in to race control. Don't see any updates quite yet. Just waiting to see if drivers are responding and ready to take their position on the track. But it looks like we're actually going to skip both both Logan Spath as well as Hans Schlegel, and we're going to go straight to Michael Hossack. So this is the last car to qualify. This is it. This is the end of the bump session. So just of those 19 cars who had the opportunity to qualify, only 11 will actually take that opportunity, and Hossack, best lap time of a 39.546. He's going to have to dig deep if he wants to compete with Anders Krohn. Right now, Anders Krohn definitely sitting pretty, unless Hossack can pull something out of his hat.
Yeah, it's going to have to be a run that we haven't seen out of him. Maybe he found something. Maybe he thinks he has something. But the last chance to knock out Anders Krohn is the 48 car here. We will see if he has it in him to find himself in a 33rd starting spot for next Friday's race.
Definitely. So here we go, heading down this back straightaway. Let's take a look at his top speed, 231. That's where you need to be. Solid line through turn number 3. Doesn't track out too wide there between 3 and 4. Good line through turn number 4. We'll see, though, does this translate into lap time? He seems to be doing everything right behind the wheel. The lines look good, but is it going to be fast? Michael Hossack, fastest lap he's put in. It's a 5.20. It's not going to be fast enough. Can he be consistent? But even if he can be, I think we're still expecting to see, half a tenth drop off between each lap. So it could be, or maybe a little bit less than that, quarter tenth drop off between each lap. But yeah, it might not be enough here. I don't think it will be.
Nope, doesn't look like he will have enough, which will lock Anders Krohn into the field of 33. And yet to come here, Rish, the top now 5 shooting out for the pole position. That'll lock positions 1 through 5 for next Friday's race. So that is going to be entertaining as well as they go for that $50 prize.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when you really start to go for it. Those guys, they know they're now starting in the top 5, so you can really go for risks, because the worst case scenario, you're starting on that second row. It's not going to be that bad of a situation. We've certainly seen drivers in the Indy 500 win from further back than that. So that could be very exciting. A lot of talented drivers, of course, in that Fast Five. Who'll be putting it all out there. Michael Hossack, 39.546 on his second lap, drops him behind Anders Krohn, and I think that's more or less settled the 33rd position. It's now more of a competition over who's going to get that first alternate spot. Michael Hossack, a solid lap number 3 as well, keeps him ahead of Chad Thurnquist, and he could be that first alternate there. So there's a chance that Michael Hossack could be on duty and ready to go if any drivers decide not to show up next week.
So the 34th fastest driver will have that first alternate position to get in if, of course, as you mentioned, something, I guess, does happen, which life happens. Things can happen, so you just never know.
Yeah, absolutely. It's obviously a little bit different from real life, but with sim racing, you do obviously prioritize your real life, and some people, their Friday nights can get booked up, especially with this IndyCar series. So Michael Hossack, though, 39.639, puts in that last lap time. Think we're just waiting for that last thing to update. He will drop below Chad Thurnquist, so he'll be the second alternate. But that's it. That is qualifying over for bump day qualifying. Anders Krohn will be your 33rd starter for next week's Indy 500.
And a great run there. He found a little bit of speed after that initial run. Saw him get a little wobbly coming off of turn number 4, but he puts it in the show in that 33rd position.
All right, and with that, we've got a few more minutes. The Fast 9 qualifying will kick off at 10 p.m. So with that, we'll leave you guys for just about 4 minutes here. And as we get kicking off for that Fast 5 qualifying, we'll bring you guys all the action right here on the Elite Racing Network. All right, back with you guys here as Fast 5 qualifying is about to get underway. But before we do that, we're going to speak to the guy who just qualified his way into next week's Indy 500, 33rd on the grid, Anders Krohn. Anders, massive first lap there from you, and then seemed like just hanging on there to get it done. But that first lap and the subsequent runs there after that seemed to be enough to get you into the field and by a significant margin. Just talk us through tonight, your runs in qualifying 1, as well as that bump day qualifying, and what you kind of changed to find that extra pace.
Yeah, to tell you what, that was super stressful. Yeah, I was just driving extremely poorly in round one, and I think I was trying to use the old lines that I'd been doing before, but then I looked at what some of the other guys was doing, and kind of just changed everything up, and realized obviously, hey, it's time to go for broke. So just went crazy aggressive on the on the bar and the weight jacker, and yeah, really took some risks as well. So it was. I can't believe that it stuck. I really can't. I felt like a driver transformed.
Yeah, that's a great looking car you have out there. Talk about starting 33rd. You're in the show. That relief's over, but now you've got 32 cars ahead of you. Just that initial start and kind of getting settled in, how important will that be for success coming up next Friday?
I think the biggest thing for me is just I'm in awe of how strong this series and this race has become. I mean, I think a year or two ago I finished second in this 500, and now here I am struggling to make it into the field. So I think it just speaks volumes of what Chad Rankenfield has, and everyone around him, Ethan, has done with the series as a whole to raise the level. So I certainly don't have any expectations of being able to contend for the win again. But yeah, for now, happy to be in the show.
Yeah, Anders, wanted to just ask. You mentioned making some adjustments there. What really do you have to do during the run? You talked about between runs, but between lap 1, 2, 3, and 4, how much does the car really change, and how much are you on that weight jacker, on that bar adjustment to make sure the balance of the car is where you need it heading into a turn at 230 miles an hour?
Yeah, it's continuous, and especially I hadn't really had that much practice going into this qualifying session. I'd only done a few laps last night, so it was a bit of a learning experiment, and it was more just like getting more and more and more aggressive on the tools, and especially the weight jacker, and it definitely felt on the knife's edge. But I guess that's what you got to do here in these super tight conditions.
All right.
Well, great to be in the show. We appreciate you joining us here. If I see you on Mass Ave again, I'll make sure I give you a wave. And good luck coming up next Friday night.
Sounds good. I'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
All right, Anders Krohn there, your 33rd place starter Friday night. Meanwhile, AJ Musselman out on the racetrack, and there you see that pace difference between those guys in that bottom group and this Fast 9. 39.425 first lap for AJ Musselman. He's going big to try and qualify that car on the pole position, win those $50 courtesy of Dark Horse Racing. Lap number 2, what's it going to look like for him? It's going to be a 39.520, so big drop off, 10th of a second, but he's still looking at a 4.73 average lap time after 2 laps.
Yeah, a lot quicker here. And I want to go back to real quick to what Anders said. He was second a couple years ago, and now to barely get in the show, it just, as we talked about, and we've seen it all year, and is my first year here kind of covering this, just the competition level and guys that, I'm not saying that he does this, but a lot of guys, you show up and you're like, all right, I'll solidly be in the field. The next thing you know, you've got to adjust things and really hold on to that steering wheel to put it in the show. So great to see. We'll have Anders Krohn in the show starting 33rd coming up next week. Musselman down a little bit here, 39.576. But again, Rish, going for broke here, going for that pole award. But again, worst comes to worst, you're going to find yourself starting fourth or fifth.
Fifth now is what it's confirmed as, since we do still have Triano. He was questionable starting this session, but he is going to be confirmed to be running. So 5 cars. Yeah, worst case, you've got a 5th place starting position. No worries at all. In fact, honestly, I'd rather take 6th, since 5th is right in that middle of the second row. But yeah, there you go. It's still going to be a run complete here for AJ Musselman. It's going to be 39.630 on that last lap. So big drop off there for him, but a 39.538 average over the 4 laps. That's going to be competitive there. Slower, ironically, than what Anders Krohn did for his 4-lap average in that in that bump session. So potentially a sign of things to come. Anders mentioned he might not be competing for the win, but maybe he found some pace there between round 1 and the bump qualifying that could move that car forward next week.
Yeah, certainly going to have one of the faster cars. It'll be exciting to watch him come from the back on the outside looking in. A shame Santino Ferrucci won't be racing with us coming up on Friday after his incident in qualifying, but a very competitive field nonetheless. The likes of Tony Kanaan and Steph Wilson are locked in. And then you get some of our regulars like Musselman, Frankenfield, DeGroot, Pinero, Van de Sant, Rexing, some of those drivers, Justin Fortner. battling it out up towards the front of this field. So it'll be interesting to see here as Troiano goes a 39.571.
Yeah, I think that might have actually been his last lap from his first run. So we'll take a look because I don't see anything on the official tracker, but we'll see as he crosses the yard of bricks. I think that's lap 1 complete, and it's a big lap, 4:13 for Eric Troiano. We're talking different level of speed here from these drivers, but Eric Troiano puts in a big first lap. Can he now carry the speed through the next 3?
Yeah, down the backstretch up over 230 right there. Maybe 231. Yep, 231 miles an hour down the back straightaway as he finds himself smoothly in and out of turn number 3. A little bit high on the exit of turn number 3, but down the front straightaway, Troiano comes as he will complete lap number 2 at 39.413 on lap 1. He will back that up on lap 2 with a 39.519 showing. So a pretty good, consistent run here to start for Eric Troiano.
Yeah, really good. Again, big drop-off for sure, but again, big drop-off, you know, when a drop-off between your first and second laps still results in a 39.519, you cannot complain. So Eric Troiano putting in the work right now. So far, so good to be tracking for a provisional pole over AJ Musselman. The question is, can he maintain that same pace over the course of the next 2 laps? Expect a smaller drop-off now between laps 2 and 3. Once that initial kind of sheen wears off the tires, they're no longer that sticky tires. They're going to start to wear it a little bit more uniformly, and a 39.549 kind of leads us exactly to that. So minimal drop-off between 2 and 3. Now he just needs to survive. Lap number 4.
Yeah, and again, the worst he can do is 5th, which is a great starting position. We will see who grabs that $50 pole award and who will be starting on the front row coming up on Friday as Troiano gears up to finish the run here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we kind of wind down qualifying here, Rish. It was a battle to get into the field with Anders Krohn qualifying in the 33rd spot and a 39.567 in the run here for Eric Troiano, as that will put him, I do believe, atop of the speed charts. Not sure if that has refreshed yet.
I believe that is. I believe that is refreshed there. So Eric Troiano, provisional pole there, as Nick DeGroot now takes the racetrack, starting his first lap on the racetrack on the curb in turn number 2. Let's ride on board here for the rest of this run with Nick DeGroot.
Yeah, and DeGroot, a very fast and smooth driver. He's been in a lot of the races so far to start this season. A nice, smooth run here as you get the great angle as the sun begins to set a little bit there in the distance and off corner number 4 for number 4, Nick DeGroot, as he screams under the start-finish line.
There we go. Lap number 1 complete, 39.413. Same first lap, I think, that we saw from Troiano. So this is where we're going to start to see maybe some similarity in lap time between all these guys. Super smooth, buttery smooth through 1 and 2. Very little, it was basically one single sweeping steering input from Nick DeGroot, and that's what you want to see here. So we're going to see that again here through 3 and 4. It's always, the car handles differently in turns 3 and 4 than it does through 1 and 2, which is crazy to think about because it looks like it's just the same situation, but the car drives just differently on different ends of the racetrack. But here we go, out of turn number 4 for lap number 2. What's this lap time going to be? It's going to be a 39.487. That's the best lap number 2 we've seen so far.
A very quick lap there as he will look to find himself in the P1 starting position down the back straightaway for Nick DeGroot. 39.487 as mentioned on that last lap, so very much tracking to be the top qualifier so far here in this Fast 9, which, as we know, has been brought down to the Fast 5.
Absolutely, down to the Fast 5, but Nick DeGroot looking to be the Fast 1. This is an incredible run that he's putting on so far. We'll take a look, though, and see, can he maintain this pace across the yard of bricks once again? It's going to be a 39.54. Again, fairly impressive. That's the biggest drop-off we've seen, but for Nick DeGroot, the man who lost the Indy 500 last season by 0.03 of a second, right now is looking to put his car on pole position to lead the field to green.
Down the backstretch, a 39.5 as mentioned, all the way up into that 6th gear. As you see the blinking lights there, Hits turn 4 looks to be pretty perfect, and I think, Rish, we will see the fastest run of the day here by Nick DeGroot. Let's see if it's enough to keep him at that top spot.
Let's take a look here across the line for Nick DeGroot. It's going to be a 39.582. I think that average drops down to a 39.505, but that's more than enough for Nick DeGroot to take provisional pole. Meanwhile, Chad Frankenfield now out onto the racetrack, and he's going to try and take that position away from DeGroot. Chad Frankenfield kind of always finds his way into that Fast 9 here at the Indy 500. So we'll see what this car can do. Not sure actually what his pole stats are. If he's put that car on pole before, it might have been once or twice in the past. But I don't believe he's done so in recent seasons. So looking to change that trend and put that 15 car back on top.
And I believe, if not mistaken, is he the final qualifier? Or do we have one remaining?
We have one remaining, Adriano Pinero, who was the top driver in open qualifying in round number 1 earlier this evening. So Pinero is going to be the biggest threat, of course, to Nick DeGroot after Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield on lap number 1, 39.439, a little bit slower than DeGroot's first lap, but can Frankenfield be a little bit more consistent? Though, to be fair, DeGroot was ridiculously consistent between laps 1 and 2.
Yeah, and he's got that very cool-looking livery, throwing it back to the early 50s with Bill Vukovic. We'll see if he can find himself either on the pole position, if not starting on the front row for next Friday's race.
Here we go, off of turn number 4, lap number 2 coming to a close for Chad Frankenfield. What's that drop-off between 1 and 2 going to look like? 5.73. It's a big drop-off for Frankenfield. Not what he wanted to see. That already puts him behind Nick DeGroot. Now it's going to be what can he salvage here. Again, remember, the worst he can do is P5, so no major concerns there in that respect, but Chad Frankenfield needs to know now that pole is off the table, unfortunately, for him.
Stu could possibly put this thing on the front row as he currently tracks P2. Some would say, it's great to have the pole and it's great to have that target on your back, but that third starting position is usually the preferred line heading down into turn number 1 to start this thing. So maybe a little bit of a, hey, you're not going to get the pole, but this could be maybe a little bit of a consolidatory prize. So currently P2 is 39.569 here for Chad Frankenfield.
Yep, so waiting for that update because we only have 2 laps updated there. So a bit of a blink there for Frankenfield. Won't really worry about that since that's not going to affect his lap time. Another one there through 3 and 4, but I don't believe he's been updated. Now he gets updated there, so he's now 3rd fastest, just barely hanging on to that front row. Can he be an outside front row starter, or will he be starting on the inside of that second row? We'll find out here in just a moment's time. Frankenfield across the line. It's a 5.77. Might just drop below AJ Musselman there. We'll take a look and see. Believe he's going to be ahead there. No update on the timing and scoring. I think that, though, was his 3-lap average, the 5.27. So might just be waiting on that. And it does come in, so he does just miss out on the front row starting position. So Frankenfield either going to be inside of the second row or middle of the second row. Adriano Pinero, the man who topped round number 1, is going to give it one last go here in the final run of the Warriors for Peace Indy 500 qualifying. He's going to get started for his first flying lap.
And let's see if he has what it takes to qualify P1 and knock Nick DeGroot off of the pole. This is going to be very, very close, Rish, for that first starting spot. His best lap so far at a 39.2. If he can replicate that, which will be tough, but if he can do that, he would find himself more than likely with a great first lap in BP1.
Yeah, for sure. It's, Pinero on these ovals. Pinero anywhere, I think, has some of the most upside of any driver out there. Sometimes a little bit mistake-prone on occasion. But when he puts a lap together, there is really nobody better than Adriano Pinero. Let's take a look at what lap number 1 is going to yield for him. It's going to be a 39.399. Huge first lap.
He is on it, like Tom Carnegie would say. He is tracking P1 after lap number 1, the last driver to possibly knock Nick DeGroot off of the pole position and gain that $50 and the notoriety that comes with starting P1 coming up next Friday as he heads into turn number 4 and down the front straightaway.
All right, lap number 2, going to clock it in here in just a moment. There he goes across the yard of bricks. We'll get that timing update in just a moment. It's a 39.466, a big lap again, so 4.33 is his average. Man, this is a good run forming here for Adriano Pinero. Looking to put it all together. Still halfway to go, though.
Still plenty of time to either gain or lose here as he's down the back straightaway only to 230 miles an hour down that back straightaway. So it kind of shows you that 2 mile an hour drop off between lap number 1 and lap number 3 of the qualification attempt as he heads down the front straightaway to take the white flag.
Here he comes, so 39.524. That's the biggest drop-off we've seen so far, but still well ahead of Nick DeGroot. He's got to just stay there, and I think he will, barring any kind of major drop-off on lap number 4. Adriano Pinero, this could be the pole run to set him up to lead this field to green next Friday night. He's got half the racetrack to go here, just 3 and 4, and then it's going to be home free for Adriano Pinero.
It is going to be rather close here. He's got a little bit of a breather, so to speak, but we'll see if he can keep it on the line to qualify on the pole position as he crosses by the start-finish line in the shade. The final lap at 39.549, and it looks like Adriano Pinero will start P1 on the pole coming up next Friday.
Wow, incredible there for Adriano Pinero, your pole sitter for the 2022A Richmar Florist Indy 500, and he knows it. He knows it. As soon as that run was done, he knows, man, I've got this. Incredible job.
Great run there. The last driver to go out, and Adriano Pinero will start from the pole with Nick DeGroot and Eric Troiano rounding out row number 1 for next Friday's Richmar Florist Indianapolis 500. Looking forward to it, Rish.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic event, isn't it? I mean, just so much talent in this field. We saw how much talent we lost from this field, right? And so to have all that happen, to lose drivers like Santino Ferrucci, Tate Lytle, Chad Thurnquist, Jari Brubaker, to lose them from this field really shows just the overall strength of what these drivers are doing. An incredible job. But yeah, Adriano, pole position. What a drive that was. Shout out to Nick DeGroot, Eric Troiano starting on the front row with him. Then AJ Musselman, Chad Frankenfield, Jared Rexing on that second row. Van de Sant, Justin Fortner, and Ryan Schold will make up the third row of the Indy 500.
A great run there to end it here for qualifying for next week's race. We want to thank all of our premier partners like C2 Freight Services, Blue Egg Marketing, Powerhouse Recycling, Burnout Sports, burnoutsports.com. Join APS. They offer a complete solution for all types of businesses that need to process credit card related transactions. Their industry-specific solutions provide the best option for your business model. $50 to the winner of tonight's pole position. That, again, goes to Adriano Pinero. And what a hell of a qualifying session that we saw here with Anders Krohn racing his way in the final spot, starting from the 33rd position. Some heavy hitters also, Rish, starting halfway through the field.
Yeah, it's going to be an extremely talented field. We're going to have a fantastic race next week. 33 cars, all well-deserving of starting next week's Indy 500. And again, leading the way, Adriano Pinero, Nick DeGroot, and Eric Troiano making up that front row. Again, fantastic drives by all three of them. Fantastic drives by all the drivers who ended up making the field tonight. And to those who didn't, best of luck next season and keep working at it, because this field is just going to keep getting more and more talented.
The Dark Horse Pole Award, again, going to Adriano Pinero, Dark Horse Indy Series. They're all about creating a fun and competitive iRacing league environment. The series' experienced drivers comes from all walks of life and are from all around the world. Dark Horse strives to respect all fellow racers. Have a blast doing it. See how you can join the fun, be part of the family at darkhorseracingseries.com or on Twitter at DHRacingSeries. And again, to wrap up the Warriors for Peace qualifying day, Warriors for Peace is a foundation promoting peaceful change in the world to honor the beautiful life of Jack Shockley. Check them out, warriorsforpeace.org for more information. Rish, next Friday night, we should see one heck of a show. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a heck of a show. We're going to bring you guys all the action, starting from all the pre-race ceremonies here at the Indy 500 through the event, and of course, the post-race celebrations as well. We will be crowning another Indy 500 champion next Friday night, so make sure you guys watching at home are tuning into the Elite Racing Network.